Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKiernan, Phoenix Rising 86, Retro Bill, More Books, Canna Bear, Fiber Oats, Michael Kahn, Rob H, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Nealands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Oh wait, everybody's coming in anyways.
Yeah, so you don't want to talk about God in public, just in private?
Well, it's Nathan's show.
It's only 7:30. But go ahead, man. Tuck tail, it's all good.
Well, it's in Ezekiel 28. Ezekiel 28 tells us exactly why the devil fell. Here, let me just fetch the one verse quickly, okay? Instead of going through a lot of it, I'll just give you the gist of it, okay? Alright, let's see here. Where's Ezekiel at? There we go. Ezekiel 28.
Mic check.
Hey, Neil. Do you know why Lucifer fell, or Neil?
Tell me.
Alright. Okay, let's see here. Well, first he was created perfect, right? Thou was perfect in all thy ways from the day thou was created till iniquity was
Until
found
iniquity
in thee,
was
right?
found
So,
in him.
yeah, so he was created perfect, all right? He wasn't created bad.
Right.
But iniquity
It's
was
good.
found in him, so let's find out how it was found in him. By the multitude of thy merchandise that have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned, therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of God, and I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones and the fire. And here's why he fell. Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee. So anyways, he fell because his heart was lifted up because of his beauty. And as a result, he has corrupted his wisdom by reason of his brightness. So that's why he
So
fell.
when they further expound on the wisdom part, what's the story? That he convinces others to join him to attack God because he has a better ideology of what God should be?
Well, he says, I will be like the Most High.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was just making sure.
And can you imagine how deceiving he is? That the angels that were worshiping God, he got a third of them to come with him. That's insane.
Yeah, that's funny you said that because I was just sharing the whole start of this conversation was they just had like this little video online. Somebody just sharing one of those little, real videos. And they were just talking about how there were three that were created, Angel, Michael, and Gabriel. And, Lucifer fell and lost his position. And it's almost like a jealousy tantrum rage that he throws on us because he messed up one time and God doesn't want anything to do with him anymore. But we mess up every single day over and over, and he still just keeps calling us back. I just thought that was pretty powerful.
I was thinking about it like this. Right? It says that, God said, let us make man in our own image. I was thinking maybe Lucifer walking up and down the throne of God, he hears that, stops. I'll make them a little lower than the angels, but at the end, he knows that they're going to be the bride of Christ. Stops. Maybe that's what pride came in, and jealousy, that he was going to create these people out of the dirt of the ground, and look how beautiful I am.
Yeah, that opens up a whole nother like hypothetical proposal of could an angel become corrupt, or was he already made that way? Because it says he was made good. So how can something that's good in God's eyes, declared good by God, become tainted in God's
But they
presence?
had,
Well,
but they had a
people
free
have free
will
will.
too, no?
Yeah, he had a free
That's
will.
not a person. Lucifer's not a person.
He still had a choice.
Yeah, he
That's
had a
free will.
choice, of course. And I
I
have to
don't know if
believe
the
that
angels
God
had
gave him.
choices. I think everything was ordained to follow its instructions,
Well, of
right? Like, I
course.
don't know. I could be
Right?
completely wrong, but Righteous, do you have any scripture that says angels are given choice?
They had a choice to
Well,
follow him or not.
he was created perfect, and God said until iniquity was found in him. That means he didn't put it there. All of a sudden, he found it. Whoa, where did this come from? It's like when you lose your keys and you find them. You know what I mean? You didn't purposely
Right.
lose your keys. You
Ted,
just lost your keys and then
Ted,
you found
man.
them.
But now,
Yeah.
like now,
I'm in a delay, man. I'm
depending on who
stopping
you're
talking.
talking to, you're attacking the omnipotence of God. Like, how can he create something that's fallible, that can go bad?
Goodness.
The scripture clearly states
Propositions.
the scripture clearly states the angels who left their first estate.
So they had a choice.
Of course.
Absolutely.
God being sovereign, well, number one, that doesn't need any explanation. Number two, we wouldn't understand it if someone did. I mean,
I'm sure not surprised, right?
well, this is a being that's never been created. How can someone like me or you or anybody who's been created ever come to terms with always no beginning?
Deep stuff, Ted.
It's so deep, it's a mind breaker. It's like, okay, if, again, I don't know, but if the earth is, say, X amount of years, what's that compared to no years, eternity? What did God do before he made us? And then what did he do? There's no before, there's no after. He's always been. I mean, this is not anything you mess around. You just bow down.
Exactly. See, that's something, because when I was a kid, I remember I was about 5 years old, and I was asking, the adults, so who made God? And they said, nobody made God. He always was. I said, but I couldn't comprehend
It's
it.
all
Like,
fair
how
and
are you
well, but it's
always?
not answering the guy's question.
What's that?
I didn't know he had a question. What's his question?
Yeah, his question was, how can a God, being perfect, make something that has a permutation of imperfection?
We answered that.
Well,
We said free will.
Really?
Well,
If you're going to
if
That's
you
answer
what
have
I
it
free
heard.
from
will,
a scriptural sense,
if you have free will, you either have a choice to follow God or not, right? That's free will.
yeah, sure, that's fine. But the
You're gonna
term
make a
free will
bunch of
doesn't appear in the
robots.
Bible. So if you're trying to answer from the Bible, there is
Well-
answers in there.
Well, we're talking about choice. We said that choice is a free will, right? Right?
But that's another rabbit hole. It's like, is choice free will? It says he knew you in the womb before you were created. So did your parents' choice, did their free will actually lead to you be created? Or were you already created in his image before all this?
This is what I'm trying to express to you. When he says he knew you before you were born, he knows everything before it's ever done. And he still chose to take that path in order to have a human family after sin is forgiven, after he becomes a man to forgive sin in Jesus Christ. He still chose that route, meaning God knew it's all going to happen. And, well, I don't like that plan. I'll do plan B where no one sins and I don't have to go down to earth and become a man. No, he allowed that plan to happen, and he's sovereign about it. He knows it before it even happened. Why? Because the bride for Christ would come out of that.
and to be the ones that love him and would choose to say no and be humble and say, I'm a sinner, forgive me. It's just like when Jesus was talking to the Pharisees, and he says, the one Pharisee goes and in the temple of God and says, I'm glad I'm not like those sinners, and I'm glad I keep the Sabbath, and I'm glad, very proudful. And then the other one is a tax collector, and he says, God, forgive me, I'm a sinner. And guess who Jesus says made it? The tax collector. So yeah, we have to come to terms that we're not going to understand the sovereign, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent being, because we all have beginnings, and yet he allowed creation to occur, knowing that we would choose to sin and want to keep sinning, and then there'd be others who would choose to say, I was born with the sinful nature, but I don't want to sin. I want forgiveness. I want you. And that's where he picks his bride from. He has a human family, he has an angelic family, and they both fell.
That's tough right there.
Hey, that's so deep, it says that the angels look into it. So they were watching to see how God was going to deal with this. Was he just going to wipe everything out and start over again? Nah, he's going to sacrifice himself. What an awesome God we serve.
Well, the angels saw
Hallelujah.
that. The angels saw that Satan was cast down with a third of the angels, and no forgiveness, nothing was offered to them. Then they see human family pretty much do the same thing. And all of a sudden, what? You're going to do what? What? What is going on here? The angels are trying to figure out. Now, there's no mixing the two. We have been asked to choose this day who we will serve, and at the same time, God is sovereign. They don't cross. There's no conflict. They're both true.
Doesn't it also say that there's no
So this,
comprehension for the love of God?
Yeah, there's no way. Not in the state I'm in.
mhm. Right. So this harkens to the classic argument, which is, if anything bad exists and God is perfect, how can God exist? Therefore, God doesn't exist. Because if there's any evil, then you must blame God, and if that's the case, then it can't be God. The problem is that you're not seeing it from a top-down perspective. All you need to defeat that argument is to say that the presence of evil in some way ultimately results in a good end that God desires. It's that simple. And
Well,
then you say, "Oh, well, I
100%.
don't like that idea. I don't like that. I don't care what you said. I'm talking
Well,
generic
then they
arguments."
don't, yeah, then they have to work on their faith after that point because it says that he uses evil for good.
how can God show mercy if he never has to show it? How can God show
Exactly.
every attribute that he is if circumstances don't exist for those attributes to be exercised? Long suffering. What's he long suffering
There you
for
go.
if everyone's perfect?
So this isn't just a man-made controlled book. There's actual intelligent ways of finding that, huh?
Yeah. So what Tenth is alluding to there, that it's impossible to comprehend the good attributes of God without a contrast from which to understand it.
That's beautiful.
And like you said, God's exercising himself. And the Bible says that everything is created for God's glory and his pleasure. So those two ends are the ultimate goods that creation exercises: his glory and his pleasure. And in finding his glory, right, humankind realizes their position and his position, and then they appreciate him properly, where somebody like, Lucifer couldn't. Even being in the
Right.
presence of God, he couldn't understand or appreciate God for who he was.
Well, that same mentality is what's plaguing the earth right now. People that understand this truth but still want to turn away from it because of what the implications that is, that we are servants. That's all it is. It puts us in this weird, humbled opposite of our humanly egotistical perspectives. It sits down on her butt and says, "Nope, you're not what you thought you were."
Well,
Yeah,
it's
but
one
it's a
thing.
yes and no, because Jesus himself says that you're not servants, you're friends. He says, because if you were just a servant, you wouldn't know what I'm up to. But because I tell you what I'm up to, now you're my friend.
Exactly.
It's one
And then
thing.
he goes further than that. He goes even further than that. He says, not only are you my friend, but you're a child of my father. So now you're my brother.
Keep it going. I love it.
It just gets better and better. It just gets better and better, because it says in the end that we'll be partakers of the divine glory. Somehow, some way, we will experience an ascension that only he can give us, and only this process can create. So in short, all of this is necessary for the final creation.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Big
so
show,
you're saying
baby.
that he's going to give us what Satan lied to Adam and Eve about. God is going to give it to us.
Yeah, think about it. The Bible says we're joint heirs with Christ, joint heirs. So the literal Son of God, we get everything he gets as a free gift, by the way, paid for on his end, not ours. Yeah, the amount of stuff that we're given through Christ it just never ends. It's like, you get a car, you get eternal life, you get joint heirship, you get this. Holy moly moly.
You hear that, Nathan? Lamborghini's waiting for you. Join the team.
What if this is that life?
No, because it is appointed unto man wants to live, and death follows, and then judgment. So this isn't that life. This is the test to gain that life.
Is there any problem with enjoying the test?
That's not even an issue. He wants us to enjoy the test. He gave us the marriage of man and a woman and a family. He gave us all that to enjoy while we go through the test. The test is about pride and us realizing we have a mortality and that one day we're going to die, and we have to make a decision before we die. So God allows us to see our imperfectness, our sinful nature. And what does our conscience say about that when we're young? Oh man, I shouldn't have done that. What does our conscience say after it's seared when we're older? Who gives a damn? Pride. What are you going to do with it?
You're right.
I had to
You're right.
deal with it. I either am going to be like Satan and say, don't tell me what to do. I'm like you. You made me. I'm God. I'm this. No, you're going to die. And you need to make a choice before you die. I faced that when I was younger. And I was saying, no, I'm a sinner. I need forgiveness. And that's the road I went.
Hello, Adam.
Afternoon, guys.
Hey, Adam. You like those pictures I sent you?
Beautiful, mate. That's what's it. Reminded me of Italy, that, like a
Yeah.
Tuscan
I'm-
meal.
I'm vicariously there with you. That's all.
I'll leave tomorrow, so
Oh, wonderful. Safe trip.
yeah. Cheers, bro. What a miss.
Promises from God.
Promises from God. Bloody hell. That's
Apparently,
a
this is all a test for eternal life. This now
No,
life.
we have
what we're doing.
eternal life. It's just where you're going to have it.
That's right. If you're all going to live forever, where you spend eternity, it's all up to you.
The Father is good.
Amen to that.
I had an interesting thing the other day. The phrase "most high."
It was used today.
Somebody used it, yeah. I just
somebody
heard
used it today. I'll just give you the context, just so maybe you can spin off it. Satan was trying to be like the Most High.
Yeah, that was me.
Cool. So we use it, and what I found was interesting was where it originated from. We was talking about solar deity and stuff. So apparently, the Most High, it refers to the sun when it's in the northern tropic of Cancer, when it reaches its most highest point, and there is no shadow on the pyramid. That's when the Egyptians referred to God being at his most high, when he was the most high. What I didn't know.
Yeah, but they
A lot
worship
of
the
stuff they tell
sun.
us
So
about
the
Egypt
sun.
is
Hang on.
It's not an attack. Let me just contextualize it maybe a little bit. What I'm saying is that's the oldest origination of the phrase. It's not to link it to today's, but I'd never heard of it before. But it was. It's from an ancient
history is
Egyptian
pretty
text,
spotty at
that
best, right?
described it. Sorry, come on.
I mean, history is pretty spotty, and if you look at all the things that tell us about Egypt, that's even more spottier. I mean,
Well, the context makes sense. What Adam is saying, if they worship the created sun, and when that created sun is its highest position, it would be the most high, and they'd be worshiping creation rather than the creator. There's no problem as long as you have it in context.
yeah, but that's a correlation. Doesn't mean that that's exactly what the origin of that word is.
It doesn't matter. It
That's what I was
doesn't
trying to
change
say.
anything. It actually is logical.
It's not
Yeah,
an
just because
attack on
something is
anything,
logical,
is
it
it?
doesn't mean that's how it is.
No, Adam's right. It's not an attack on anything. It's if the sun is at its zenith, it's at its most high. There's nothing wrong with the statement.
I've got the quote here. I'll read it.
Well, saying it's the origin.
You ready? The Egyptians knew that the sun was at its highest point in the sky, or high noon, when no shadow was cast by the pyramid. At that point, all Egypt offered prayers to the most high God, the sun, as stated before to the ancients. The sky was the abode of the heavenly temple of the Most High. Therefore, God's son was doing his heavenly Father's work in the temple at 12 noon. So this is pre-Judaism as far as I can see. So it's just an Egyptian description, I'd say, because they're worshipping the Arton. That's not to say that they think God is the sun. It's just the most. It's the representation of his power here, a manifestation of it. It was my understanding, but because it was just the simple fact, I wondered where it had come from, whether it was part of a Trinity thing. I'd never seen it there, but this is the oldest thing, and it kind of makes sense in a ancient religion in terms of astrotheology and stuff. But what's interesting is,
But Adam,
and this was, well, let me just like nearly done. The interesting bit for me was it's describing the path of the sun, and across a flat plane, it's at its highest point as well, as opposed to when it's at the other tropic, when it'll be at its lowest point in terms of height, actual height, not. I'm done.
that's like saying it's interesting how the globe explains southern and northern star rotations.
Yeah, it is the same.
It's like saying
Yes,
it's interesting how the ancients viewed their cosmology. Is the point I'm making. It's not a slight on any other religion. The other religions didn't exist at this point. This is just a really, what I found quite an interesting way of they've taken the Arton but described the path of the sun, and that is the point in the year where it is its most high. He is the most. I just find that quite interesting, that there's the combination of the two, and that's the oldest.
The Old Testament book of Genesis predates it all in the story that's valid according to inspiration of God the Holy Spirit with the writers of the Bible, which says that very thing, the sun, was created on day 4, and the earth out of water was prior to that. So earth is the center of God's creation prior to them making it heliocentric. So the whole point is that Satan will, through the different nations, try to get people to worship creation, that would include the sun or planets that are named after gods, rather than the creator himself. So, yeah, history can be spotty, especially if you have an evil foe while history is being written, trying to say, well, I'm going to say the sun, S-U-N, is really S-O-N. No, nice try.
That English switch is irrelevant to this. It's not sun as in son, God, son.
No, I know, but people will take that. People will take that and run with it, and it would be the wrong way to exegete the scripture. So again, we're not going to convince people outside of the Bible anything about the Bible. It takes the Holy Spirit and God. Hang on, I'm in the middle of talking here. I'm just talking. God is the one who reveals truth. Anyone on this call could say, God, I want to know the truth. I don't want to be deceived. Clear my mind. Speak to me. I desire to know thee. And you will not be deceived if that's your heart's desire, and you will find that truth. That's why God does the converting. That's why it's not compulsory. You can seek him, knock, ask, seek. He'll open those doors, but you got to want it. It's not going to be here at a debate about something. About, well, okay, show me God and I'll believe in him. Give me a break. How about you showing you want him in the quiet hours of your prayer closet, where you're just with him in spirit saying, I need to know if you're real. I need to know if you're my father. I need to know after I die if there's a place I can be with you. How do I get there? I mean, this is my prayer that I did, and God met me and answered me. I'm not going to say he can't do it for you. I'm going to say he promises it to everybody. But it's going to be not one in the debate, whether he exists or not. What a joke. You're here. Someone made you. Creator exists. Now seek him. But you don't have to. It's up to you.
You have to humble yourself. Like you said, Tent. It's all about humility.
Well, I didn't make myself. I know my parents were part of the process, but they didn't make themselves. Well, who made it from the beginning? I want to know that. I want to know that. Well, Adam ain't going to answer that for me, and I'm not going to answer it for Adam. God's going to have to answer that for us. So we seek God.
Amen. I agree with that, Tim. I wouldn't attempt to answer that for you.
Yeah. Well, you and I know that. You and I know.
But he gives us
final resource.
Sorry.
Yeah.
He gives us things that we could look to, right? To look to the created earth and all that's in it, and come to an understanding that, wow, this did not just happen by chance.
Well, that's why it says in the scripture, man is without excuse, because creation testifies of a creator. Yeah, so anyone who says, well, I wasn't getting, no, you're walking in it, you're seeing it, you're breathing air, you're alive, you're different than your dog, you're different than the bird flying in the sky. Who did all this? What's going on here? DNA, oh my gosh, a code, a blueprint, everything. There's some planning to all this. Yeah, if that's never crossed your mind, I'll tell you what has crossed everyone's mind. If I go there, then there's probably things I can't do that I really want to do with my broken, sinful nature. Because if I find at the end of this search there's a holy God, he's going to ask me to repent and not do certain things. And I'm not ready for that. And
Yeah,
that's
I'm
the
down with
real
that.
reason.
I'm down with that. That's how I've described many of the flat earthers who come to this subject and then come across the ontological primitives which lead them to a creator. Now, their creator is a Big Bang, which is a natural law violation, hence the ontological primitives question, leaving them in no doubt. But then they have to assess what that means. Now, I don't necessarily phrase it that they'll have to give up some of the things that they don't or shouldn't be doing, or however you want to phrase it. I refer it to as skeletons in the closet. They don't want to open that door back up and look back in because they'll have to repent for a lot of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's similar. It's the same, if not the actual same. It's just that when you're conscious of the fact that you are fallen and there is no hope for you other than God's forgiveness, and in order to get God's forgiveness, you have to admit you're a sinner. And while in the fallen state of being in the flesh, God says, "Show me a changed heart. If I put a new heart in you, 10th man, are you going to repent? Are you real when you call on my name? Or are you going to go on the way you are and think that I'm just going to save you and you can keep doing what you're doing without a new heart, without a 180-degree change in your attitude? Not that in this flesh, I'm not going to be perfect. And he knows that. But he gives you a new heart in a fallen flesh. And all of a sudden, we get the jeers. You Christians, I'm you. I'm a sinner who got saved. I'm trying to tell you how to get everything forgiven, and you're jeering me. Hang on, Neil. I'm not better than Nathan Oakley at all. I'm in the same place Nathan Oakley is. I just asked to be forgiven and was.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by somebody trying to get in during the intro, which is Chocolate saying, Neil, Adam Meakin, Arwin, 10th Man, and there's somebody else who I've missed. Who did I miss? And a whole bunch of people in Discord.
Hello.
No, I didn't miss anybody. 10th Man, Chocolate, Neil, Adam, Arwin. Yeah, that's everyone.
Oh, you got everyone.
Good to have
morning.
you. Morning.
Hello,
Afternoon.
Everyone. Hey, good afternoon.
Good to have you all.
Peace and love, baby.
Welcome. An evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth.
4 more hours.
Come again, Arwin?
4 more hours?
I asked if there was an evidence of Earth curve. What do you mean 4 more hours?
Nathan, what's interesting about that question is, do we even have to have it as a question if there, you know what I'm saying? If there was, we wouldn't even have that question. It'd be like, you dummy, it's right there.
Well, obviously we're waiting for the response from a globe believer who's, I was going to say stumbled away across this show, but I doubt that's ever going to be the case. But there we go. For the hypothetical scenario where there's a normie globe believer who stumbles across this show live and goes, I'm going to get in on there. They say any evidence of Earth curve. I've seen the horizon.
Can I role play that position?
Ruin my point. Thank you.
No, I expand your point. Let me pretend I'm the glober who just came onto your show, and I'll role play that part and see how you do with me. Fair enough?
Okay, well, what would you give as evidence of Earth curve?
Well, let's start at the beginning. Ask that question, and then I'll respond, and we'll
I just did.
go.
What's your evidence of Earth curve?
Read the question. No, I just want to reset. Start the question again, and we'll start. And
There's no do-overs. This is a live show.
I know. Nathan, just ask that question again and let me respond.
That you
Any
just don't
evidence
have
of
a rebuttal to my 4 more hours.
any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Excuse me, host of the show. I assume you're Nathan Oakley. What do you mean formerly known as the curve of the Earth? All my life I was told it is the curve of the Earth.
Well, if the curve of the Earth was the horizon, then it'd be at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as per the geometric limitations laid down in Earth curve maths. But we have imagery that shows it's beyond the geometric limitations of a sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve, at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Black Swan.
Okay. Let's say I look at the black swan and I come back to you with, okay, so you're telling me that all my life I've been told the Earth is a sphere and it's based on the radius where the curvature would be based on the height of the observer. And this is the exact math for it, correct?
That's the Earth curve math.
Okay. And it's not there because I'm looking at the picture and it's beyond the oil platforms when it should be well in front of the oil platforms.
You're a very conciliatory globe believer.
No, I'm just being honest with the picture and the globe math and what the question, in essence, is saying.
Well, there's your problem straight away. No, you're none of the attributes of somebody who come here to defend the globe there. You haven't got any of them. You're not role-playing a glober.
No, I'm giving a contrast.
I was just going to say that too. Sorry.
Well, you guys are ruining everything.
Because you're saying you're being honest and assessing the question that's being asked and giving an honest answer to it. Yeah, none of the above none of the above if you're role-playing a globe believer.
No, you got it wrong. I have met people who are globe believers that when we show them the black swan, their jaws drop. I'm trying to play that guy.
Yeah, you're trying to play the hypothetical guy I tried to distinguish as not coming by this neck of the woods, that if he was to stumble across the question, now you're role-playing that guy, but none of us have got a comparison to that guy.
No, I just came across to this neck of the woods and you're bashing me for coming here instead of just saying, wow, we got someone who finally gets it right.
See, now he's behaving more like a globe believer. Now you can carry on.
You're terrible. What a reception I get here.
Yeah, now you're getting it.
Yeah. If I come here and I argue with you, if I come here and don't argue with you, we don't like.
See, that was absolutely perfect. Absolutely zero response to the actual question. A criticism of how you've come here and what you've been presented with and how the attitude's been. That was perfect. That was much more like it. So then, hold on. Now we're into the role play. Now I say, no, that's just an ad hominem attack or an appeal to format. So, no, that's fallacious, I'm afraid. You haven't addressed the Earth curve edge horizon beyond its limitations. It's beyond its limitations. It's the end of the argument.
I was about to admit to it through the pictures and the Earth curve math, and you stopped me from converting. What's going on here?
I did no such thing.
Yeah, you did.
What I'm lost at what we're role-playing here. Are we role-playing a baller coming in here or 10th when he gets to like a, I don't know, like he gets a normie in the church car park on a Sunday?
That's what. Now I did preface it like it was a normie in the church car park. So I said that guy that doesn't come by here that I'm hypothetically appealing to because I want him to say, well, of course the horizon's Earth curve, but that guy doesn't exist.
Yeah, but you're not realizing how powerful that question is.
See, 10th Man is doing a fusion, right? Because we got two things. We got honest globers, and then we got ballers that show up here. Now, the thing is, we don't have honest globers that show up here, so 10th Man is playing both roles. That's what it is.
Thank you, Chocolate. And what a reception I got for being the kind of person that should show up here. Maybe I'll never show up here again.
Shut up, Fundy.
So now we're on fire.
Format. Shocking.
So, Earth curve edge. Go on, Chocolate.
To answer your question before, you said something about why are we calling it formally? Because the people that showed up here before you all claimed, and these are the same people that believe that this spherical edge of a ball exists. They tell us now that we can't see this thing. So that's why it's formally known as Earth curve. because apparently the geometric horizon isn't the Earth curve anymore, even though they're still teaching it to kids.
Yeah,
So,
I like chocolate better than Nathan. He's more conciliatory right now. So let me go with chocolate. Yeah, chocolate. I did all that, which was in broken pieces, because I had an idea behind the whole skit that we were just going back and forth with. And that's for all the anti-flat earthers and the hostile globers who come here. That I was pretending to be a glober who was not biased, who wanted the truth. And when I heard Nathan ask that question, formally known, I said, why is it formally? This is what I was taught all my life. What do you mean formally? And then Nathan says, well, if you go to the Earth curve math, you can see it doesn't match. So that's why we say formally known, because it's not real. It would be here, but it's over here. And over there is apparent. It's not even physical.
Well, that's linked up, right? Because he said that it doesn't match with the math, the geometry that we supposedly have. So
Right.
if the geometric horizon is where, or was where it should be, which is at 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, then it would still be Earth curve. The reason that they're saying it's not is because it's not.
No, I got that.
Wait,
but see, the way I came in, I'll let Adam comment, because I know you want to say something.
I'm
Is
trying
that, well, yeah, just exactly that. But I wanted to give a contrast for the audience and the globers and the anti-flat earthers, that if you come on this show and hear that one question and say, what do you mean formally? And then the proof is given why we say formally, I have to now behave a certain way. I'm either going to get hostile. I'm either going to be mad because you revealed a truth that was not there in my mind before. I'm going to defend something that just got destroyed in front of me and I can't defend it. And I'm going to look silly defending it because that is my globe math and must be there, but it's not there. What's the behavior after I find out I possibly have been lied to all my life?
This is not a sexy roleplay. I'm not turned on at all.
Well,
let me have one go.
We can't tell you how to behave. That would be up to you, right?
God, you guys are missing it. Go, Adam. Maybe
Let me have a go, because I think I might be getting Tom's point. So I'm going to be a newbie. So I'm coming to you and I've seen that question and I go, what do you mean formally? I've just literally left the Church of Heliocentrism where I've had a wonderful morning with Bill Nye telling me why boats disappear over the horizon. Yeah, one of the top priests has just spent the morning. How can you say formally known? It's still part of my mainstream rhetoric. Is that what you're saying, Tom?
You got it, Adam.
Because formally it was as per this maths on screen right now with an X marking a position with a straight line to it. That's a geometric Earth curve horizon, marked with an X, labelled horizon with a straight line to it. Now, upon showing that the position in orthographic representation as it is here is beyond that position, we are now told that the line to the horizon, as per this diagram, is in fact bent. So now you end up with O to G being the formerly known as the Earth curve edge geometric horizon, and the one that they now claim we see at OH. That's a bent line. Well, that's not going to give you geometry to utilise when you require that tangent, O to G. Why do you require O to G? Well, because G is Earth curve. It was marked with an X labelled horizon in the previous diagram and used by Al-Biruni here to acquire the radius, again with a straight line to Earth curve. So when you tell us, oh, there's no straight line to Earth curve, we can't see the geometric horizon, then you can't see Earth curve as depicted here, marked at, coincidentally, C. So the geometric limitation that used to block boats and buildings, as depicted here by National Geographic, is the formerly known as Earth curve edge that blocked this boat, debunked by the Black Swan.
Right, so if I'm a newbie or a neutral, that's really complicated. If you just show me the Black Swan and everything that I've just sat through with Bill Nye suddenly becomes very questionable. I don't need any maths or any diagram. I just need that that black swan explaining to me, and everything I learned at Heliocentric Church that morning has now been thoroughly debunked. I don't need maths, just my own eyes.
So let's give a
Is there
rendition
where
of
we're
it
heading
now,
to?
and then we can all say amen afterwards. If the Earth
Yes.
was a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every distance to Earth curve could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as depicted 2 slides ago on the Earth curve mathematics. The distance to the horizon in the image labelled Black Swan is beyond the geometric limitations of an Earth with a sphere radius value 3959. Therefore, the horizon is not Earth curve, and the Earth is not a sphere.
Darwin.
Okay, Nathan, go to Master B, and Adam, I just posted the Black Swan. Keep your role play going since no one liked mine.
This is not a role play anymore. I've said the safe word.
Come on, Nathan.
I've said that safe word.
Come on, Nathan. Get with it.
Swan is
Come
the
on,
safe
man.
word. Anyway.
Adam, comment on that picture that you said you don't need the math, you just need the picture. I just posted it in Master B.
Yeah. So from my seminar this morning, I was told that the reason that the boat is disappearing isn't to do with optics or anything. It's to do with Earth curvature obscuring it. And yet now I'm showing a picture here, which the first platform is 6 miles away, and there's no obscuring, and there's no obscuring at 9. And I can still see off into the distance. It's in complete contradiction to my teachings from the Reverend Nye this morning, and completely debunks what he said was going off.
Can I ask you a question, Adam, who was possibly formerly from the Church of Bill Nye?
Oh my God.
May I ask you a question? Role play with me since Nathan won't. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, good. Please, no one interrupt. So now, Adam, that you see this and your senses tell you, wait a minute, if Bill Nye, the high priest of my church, says, I live on a sphere, and that Earth curve has to be at 1.22 miles, and here we have actual proof that it's not. At this point, without knowing anything else, Adam, do you have any doubt in your mind about the claim of Earth being a sphere based on this picture?
Doubts are now sown. My own internal logic is in conflict.
Okay.
Am I
You're
going to
under
say
what?
it's flat? No, but I've got serious questions.
Yeah, you're on the right road. Continue down this road. Because if you could prove to me we live on a sphere with a radius of 3959 and show me Earth curve at a 1 foot observer height starting at 1.22 miles, I'll come to your Church of Bill Nye, okay?
Objection.
That's
Okay.
the challenge. That's the
Get him,
challenge.
John.
What the hell? I thought this was a role play. Now it's a courtroom drama. Go ahead.
I know, we had some.
I'm going to take that challenge up and never get back to you.
Okay.
It's 99% done.
Well,
I want to hear the objections. Go ahead, John. What's up?
even if the horizon did seem to conform to what we understand as geometry, and every horizon did appear at 1.22 times the observer's height in feet, Earth can't be curving, else we wouldn't be able to attain elevation angles from it.
Yes. And
Well, is there any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
As the newbie, I'm confused why you'd say it's a curved baseline now, because that looks flat to me.
It has to be if you're measuring an elevation angle. So the end result is a height measurement, if you want to call it that. And the height is in the vertical plane, and vertical plane that you're measuring in is measured with respect to the horizontal plane. Therefore, if you're measuring an elevation angle full stop, the prerequisite, the requirement is that you have a vertical plane and a horizontal plane. So there are multiple ways of establishing that horizontal plane so you can measure in the vertical. One of them is the horizon.
Hey, Adam, that sermon that you attended this morning of the high priest, the high priestess Bill Nye.
Yeah.
He was showing you a curved baseline, right? That's the curved baseline that they're talking about. He showed you that when he showed his little toy boat going over a little toy globe.
No. Let's just rephrase Chocolate's. Sorry, Chocolate. When he showed a boat falling over an earth curve edge.
Yeah. That's supposedly the curved baseline that they're supposedly taking angles from. But being that you can't take an angle from a curved baseline, that would be wrong, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but Bill's model was only little, so it might be virtually flat, if you just measure in a few miles. So it would be just as good as flat.
That's kind of the
And
antithesis. Hold on. It seems Adam's now role-playing anti-flat earther. No, I'm not.
Well,
that's the antithesis of the claim, isn't it? The claim is that the Earth's falling away from you at 8 inches per mile squared from all positions, always, without exception. So you're saying, well, can I just have it as a bit flat? Well, no. That's the antithesis of a spherical surface.
There was a setup in there. The point I was making there was, but if we're doing navigation, we're not dealing with a couple of miles. We're dealing with hundreds and thousands, and the applied curvature would have to be demonstrated. There's where you've got your curvy baseline. See, in the mind of a newbie, I can still ignore that because it looks flat, even though I know it's curved. So if I'm only dealing a little bit, then it might be a little bit out. So,
well, how much is a lot?
Those flat earthers are probably wrong.
What's the maximum?
I've no idea. I'm a newbie.
No, I'm asking anybody on the panel. If you've got a star above the horizon, and let's say, what's the pre-required elevation angle? Is it above 15 degrees? Is that correct, or is it 20?
No. Hang on. You rephrase that question. The maximum is 90. So
I haven't asked the question yet.
I'm clairvoyant. I know where you're going.
Well, my interim question is, how high above the horizon do you not have to concern yourself with the claim to be refractive effects of the star slowing down as it reaches the horizon? What's the degree?
It doesn't matter. Nathan, I'm trying to tell you it doesn't matter because it's 90 that you minus from. So no matter what, 90 times 60 nautical miles is 5,400 miles.
No, you're confusing me now. Now you're going to have to explain. Stick with the distance. So just say 20, which is 70. So that's 4,200 nautical miles. Give me those numbers. They're numbers that you can pull off. And I go, oh, bloody hell. 4,200, that's more than 4,200 miles, isn't it? Nautical. Bloody hell. No, I suppose over that distance, you couldn't even consider the surface flat. Ooh.
But what is the area? What's the biggest circle you can draw?
5,400 miles.
5,400 miles?
On their globe, it's when Polaris is at 0 on the horizon, and if you take it all the way above your head, that would be 90. 90 times 60 is 5,400 miles. If it disappears, they say it goes under.
No, so both model, the celestial sphere model, the maximum you could measure is 90, isn't it? Down to the horizon. Even if you got something on the horizon, maximum you could have is 90. And that's the same for the globe model. The maximum you can have is 90. How it's attributed is different. So the R value of their circles of equal altitude would be the same, 5,400 nautical miles. This is something that's been discussed, how you then apply that area, because you've got the mismatch for the globe model that you've got this circle of equal altitude, but that literally just sits like a hat on top of a ball at the tangent point of the GP of the star position. As for anything else, it has no contact with the surface. I know I've stopped being a newbie here.
I'm just talking about the overall surface area itself. If you've got a radius of what for the biggest circle of area of equal altitude circle that you draw, if you've got a star at 90 degrees to your position, how big is the radius for that circle?
5,400 nautical miles.
Thank you, Adam.
That's the radius.
Yeah.
Right. Diameter would be twice that.
Yeah.
Hold on.
That would mean someone on the other.
Something's not adding up here. That's a bigger than the globe Earth's radius, isn't it?
It is if you're comparing unlike for unlike.
What?
See, I'm just getting feedback, I think, from Discord, because it comes to the question is, what are you going to allow on a ball? Are you going to allow 1 meter squared, 1 nautical mile squared to be placed on a ball where you can't? The only bit of that circle of equal altitude you can place on the ball is the point source at the tangent. As for everything else, because the ball's falling away, no other point will intersect the circle of equal altitude, the flat plane you've created. So it's whether or not you allow it to be wrapped around the ball via the longitude and latitude. And if you do that, then I did this calculation yesterday. Let me just go to it. It's in the war room. Because of the way in which you calculate, the two would be different. If you're allowing it, okay. So if we were to just take the flat, we would just take the standard pi r squared to give us the area of that circle equal altitude, which would be 91,620,720 nautical miles squared.
For what? Say that once. I got the square value. But for what? Flat.
For the flat version. So that circle of equal altitude will occupy an area on the flat surface, a flat surface area of 91.6 million squared nautical miles. If we were to do it on the ball, then what we can't do is, and we're giving them the apologetics that we're going to wrap it onto the ball. So the maximum R within their ball is the 3959R, but that you kind of have to ignore because it's not that R. We're going to take the surface area and apply it via longitude and latitude to the ball. And in doing so, that means that 90 degrees is observed from the equator to see the pole star, say, at 90 degrees. Now, that would mean that circle of equal altitude created on the surface of the ball would be equivalent to a whole hemisphere of the ball. So you could see that star at 90 degrees at anywhere on the equator. Yeah. So that would mean an equivalent surface area. So the area of a ball is 4 pi r squared. But remember, what you've got to do is then divide that by 2. So that gives you then a surface area of land on the ball Earth of double, 183.2 nautical miles squared. So this is the contradiction.
Which is
in
what?
terms of the surface
Which is how many miles? You gave it.
If
Hold on.
you allow.
Sorry to interrupt. You gave us in the value for the overall value, 5,400 mile radius, area of equal altitude at 96 million or something like that. What was I can't remember the number now, but it was dedicated to air. And what's
91.6.
Say again.
91.6.
91.6 million square miles, correct?
Yeah.
And what's the value? You just gave it in for the single hemisphere.
So if we were doing it and we're applying how you and what you could see 90 degrees on a ball, then the positions that you would be able to see it from would be equivalent to the whole of the equator, which would mean the surface area is equivalent to the whole one hemisphere of the ball, which is equal to 183.2 million nautical miles squared.
Okay.
But that's if you do it that way. That's not how it's done. This is the point. But Brian threw this kind of thing in is because kind of trying to conflate the two things shows where things don't match. Most basically, like I say, at the point that you've got this circle of equal altitude, which is flat, which is calculated as a disk, not as a hemisphere or a segment of a sphere. It's not calculated like that. And this shows you the difference. It's allowing a bendy R in a way, if you see what I mean.
Well, no, that ain't the point that you do the bendy R. It's after you've formulated your celestial sphere, then you take and apply the Haberstein formula and put those positions on the celestial sphere. So the globe is a flat Earth model. They just don't know it.
Sure. But what I'm just trying to get to is we've got a 91 million mile square area for one, not even talking about a hemisphere at this point. We're just talking about a star you've sighted and drawn a circle on a map, right? That gives you 91 million square miles. And then you're saying the entire half sphere globe is 180 million. Is that correct so far? Am I following the maths? I'm not great with maths.
Yeah.
I'm not going to admit that I'm, but am I following along so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So one circle of equal elevation at its maximum, doesn't matter where, will give you 1/2 of one hemisphere in terms of the amount of land. Correct?
Yeah.
So two areas at their maximum at radius 54, was it 54? Did you say?
Yeah.
Will give you about 180 million square miles. Am I wrong in my maths? Am I adding this up wrong?
No. Correct.
That's so just from any one position, you could do a maximum totally chew up the amount of area you've got on one hemisphere with just two circles of equal elevation.
Yeah, but that's not as significant as it sounds, because overlap doesn't matter. You can overlap, and therefore you absorb some of those differences. When we're doing celestial navigation, it's just the points of intersection that matter.
No, I understand. You've got the two circles are going to cross, right? So potentially, when you draw out two circles, you would hope at that point that one of the 2 points of intersections that those two circles cross, leaving you with a sort of a fish shape, if you like, in the middle where they intersect. Yeah? Well, you would hope that one of the positions is over somewhere that you can't be, like a bit of land, if you're in a boat, because then you go, well, obviously that eliminates that position, so I don't have to do a third sighting. So that's very handy. But what you're saying is that ultimately means that the area of land that you're calculating has got something to be minused off because they cross over each other.
Yeah.
Okay. But about 6 months ago, we described how, admittedly without the maths, this is the subtle difference, which is why I'm focusing on it now. We said that if you had a guy in a boat and he draws out a circle to his left and sights a star, and a circle to his right and sights another star, and they overlap, but then a guy, I don't know, 10,000 miles away, 5,000 miles away, however far, sights the same star on the original guy's right. Now, it might be, a different position for the first guy, but they've both got that star as one of their circles. But the second guy can also have another area of equal altitude beyond him, to his right. Now, all of these must match at 90 degrees. They're all planes. But ultimately, you're going to run out of circles of equal elevation in terms of the amount of area that they cover right quick if we're 3/4 of the way of a globe Earth surface with one guy doing 3 circles. Am I wrong?
Yes and no.
Go on, am I wrong?
The nuance is what we're trying to find. It's not as easy as you think, because unsurprisingly, this is a well-developed mismatch onto longitude and latitude. So it's picking up that, and that's the issue. But to say, I can just add two together and look, there's a mismatch. No, because on both models, it's wrapping round on the coordinate system you're using. So there's always going to be a meeting point, because it's rotating to get.
I see.
So the overlap.
I've got you now. I understand now. So
Yeah.
because you're taking the latitude and longitude positions originally taken by way of elevation angle measurements to a flat plane and plotted into the celestial sphere model, and then the Haberstein formula or Haversine formulas used to transpose that onto the globe Earth surface by reverse engineering of the projected angle up to the sky. Well, in that process, you're always moving the sphere around you of the sky, which is going to alter the positions on the ground in terms of how much area you've got at a given time. And so long as it doesn't presumably exceed it within one measurement, it will always work out from your position, because everything's in a perspective view just moving away from you. But in a map view, that's going to correlate to the actual latitude and longitude lines that you're actually using on a map, regardless of the map. So it will still match with a sphere either way, because of the back engineering of the elevation angles to Polaris to give you latitude and longitude. Is that correct?
Yeah. All of it's done on longitude. This is why when they bring the Haversine, the Haversine's done at the end. And all it is sticking the longitude and latitude onto a ball and then using the spherical trig in that. But once you've done all that, you know what you have to multiply it by?
What?
To get your distance?
No.
Have a guess. R.
By R.
Fundamental.
Right. Of course.
Yeah, otherwise it's useless. So it's just a formula, and then they plug it in to their ball. Yeah. So it's just maths, that is. But all the stuff, all the positioning is done before any spheres applied to it. It's just done on the longitude and latitude system.
Very interesting discussion.
Yes.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun? As we're talking about elevation, high angles, if you will.
No.
It's over there.
We're not done with that discussion, please.
Oh, we're not?
My goodness. No, we're not. It's staring, and I want refractive curvature and Adam to jump in too. It's staring right at you. 90 degrees. When they say subtract from 90, that could never, ever take place from a surface that's curved.
Right, you've got to have the horizontal plane to get 90 in the vertical plane. That's what we're dealing with, horizontal and vertical planes.
So if you go to Master B, look at the 4 slides I'm going to put, and I'm going to make a statement, and I want Adam and refractive curvature to respond.
Okay, it's up.
First one is measurement on the celestial sphere. So you see a globe Earth, and then from the center where there's a vertex, that projection, it hits the surface of the globe Earth where you see GP and 10 degrees difference. It extends through space all the way to the infinite celestial sphere in the inner part of the concave part of the celestial sphere. On the outer part of the celestial sphere is latitude, longitude lines that would match that presupposed Earth as well. Then it's reprojected down to the Earth, which is presupposed as a spherical triangle, a navigational triangle, PZX. Go to the next slide. So here's another way of saying it. They got the celestial sphere with the longitude, latitude lines on the outside, the stars are on the inside, and they all have a GP position on the Earth because it matches line for line, and stars, when they're at their zenith over the Earth, that's exactly where it would be on the Earth's surface. And yet you see in the middle, in that black area, is where the vertex is. So you can never have 90 on the surface of a globe, but you could say if your vertex is not a curved surface, you can get an elevation angle from it. And where do they got their vertex? In the center of a presupposed globe. Now we're going to look and see what's in there in a minute. But you can see this is a spherical triangle cut out from the Earth and projected from the angle all the way to the celestial spheres. You see that those 2 lines that create the angle go through the Earth's surface, extend to the sphere. Now this is reprojected back. Okay, that's all what the books say. Next slide. Here's another orthographic view of it, PZX triangle. So in this sense, they are going to use the North Star, the observer's GP, and the star's GP. And you can see it. Where's the vertex of this? Not on the surface. You can't get a 90 to minus from 90 on the surface. But right there in the middle, without a horizontal line, there's just a dot. And then all of a sudden, you got 3 lines. One is the zenith position, one is the North Pole, and the other one is GP of the luminary. And it just goes right through the Earth, projects on this infinite imaginary sphere called the celestial sphere, which is a bigger sphere than the Earth, but matches it perfectly. And then it's reprojected back down to Earth as that navigational triangle you see there. Last slide. Oh, I just found out where they got their 90 from a flat plane. Oh, and the arc is what they say you live on. And we saw in the previous pictures that this thing went through the arc, hit the celestial sphere, and came back and laid on this arc. Where was the elevation angle taken from? A flat plane, because it's staring everyone in the face. When they say minus 90, it's all over for them, because you can't get a 90 from this arc. You must go to a flat surface to get your 90 from. Where is that on their ball? Right here. But where's the bottom of it? There is no bottom of it. That's the equator line.
Perfect. Thank you, 10th.
You got
Getting
it.
more and more concise in this description of projecting a flat plane from your view of the heavens out onto a ball which represents the arc of the tool. So this gets replaced with a globe Earth inside it, and then a cavity where you're actually taking the angle from in this diagram. So why is there a black void? This is where you hold the sextant, right? Why is it a black void in the middle of the sphere Earth? Well, because what you're actually doing is taking an angle measurement that can only be done on a flat plane, and that's how you've got all of these latitude and longitude lines. That's where they've been derived from. The angle measurements taken from a flat plane, that's the only way they can be taken, to the stars as you observe them. You are not observing the sun, moon, and stars from the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth projected out to the celestial sphere model to be projected back down to a globe model to then give you what they call their spherical projection maps. They take what is on this map and project the points back out to a cylinder. They have to remove the flat Earth 3 times from what's actually happening. So you've got a flat Earth elevation angle measurement to the star. You've got that projected onto what is essentially the celestial sphere model, then projected back down to a globe, then projected back out to a cylinder, then rolled out flat. That's how your maps are made. It's nuts, isn't it? How much deception they've got to put these maps through to not let you realise that they've come from a flat plane in the first instance when you're using a flat map. And furthermore, if you ever say that, well, we're using a flat map, well, it's come from a globe projection. And if you do a cursory amount of research, you'll see that this reprojected from the sphere of the heavens back down to a point that you are standing in and looking out at on a concave surface. So you're literally a concave earther at this point. If you take that and project it onto a cylinder to roll out flat, you can make the declaration as a globe believer that the flat map is a spherical projection. Well, the spherical projection of what? The globe. Well, what's that? Well, it's a projection back from the sphere of the heavens. Well, what's that? Well, that's a sphere of the heavens flat Earth projection off a flat plane. That's the origins of the globe. Nuts, eh? Shout out to Goldie McKiernan. He says, support what you love. Big love from South Florida. Oh, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for your support.
I was wanting to help out some of the anti-flat earthers with their vertical problem that they have now. You may not have heard it yet, but how they say that they can use a vertical to get an elevation angle without referencing Earth. Have you heard that claim?
Without referencing Earth.
Yes.
You're navigating it, but go on.
Well, what does vertical automatically reference?
Horizontal.
When you say the word vertical.
Horizontal.
Well, it references, it's in reference to Earth. Because even in their diluted religion, if you drop a plumb bob in space, does it point down?
No.
So when you say vertical, you automatically are referencing Earth.
And if you're using vertical, you're referencing the Earth as horizontal, as a plane, because you're measuring in the vertical with respect to the horizontal.
That's right. It's more
There's
trouble for them.
There's another nuance, refracted curvature. When they say vertical and you don't need to use the earth, they're not finishing the statement. So let me finish it for these people who are lying to everyone. And I say that with full conviction. Yes, I can get vertical without referencing the sea horizon because I'm going to use a artificial horizon method. Oh, to explain. Okay, well, I'm going to use a spirit level, get the bubble to get my horizontal so I could match my vertical and have perpendicular, like a plumb line. Okay, what other way? Well, I can get a pan of mercury and do that, and I could be on land like Lewis and Clark and do it that way. Okay, great. Now, what if you don't have a plumb line and you don't have a pan of mercury and you're at sea and none of those methods work there because the boat is moving around too much, which they say it can't be used at sea. What do they use there? We had a guy come on the show and he said, well, the only thing stable at sea is the horizon. Also, they use the horizon. Is it a horizontal angle that they're looking for? No, it's a vertical angle. So what's the purpose of using the sea horizon, the Earth itself? Oh, because it's horizontal. It's a 180. Oh, so then when I rock the sextant left to right, one is vertical. Oh, you'll know vertical because when you rock the sextant left to right with the sun making an arc motion over the horizon, you'll know just when it's vertical, when it's kissing the horizon, and then you say mark, and that's your best bet to get vertical because we assume a flat earth to give you horizontal. That's what they're not telling you. And they all match up. So a guy on land, a guy at sea would have the same result doing it both ways because you need a horizontal and a vertical. Earth is flat.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I'm just saying that when they say that they can use a vertical to reference horizontal without referencing Earth, that's wrong because
I got it.
Yeah, okay,
No,
that's what I was wanting to
And
address.
plus, this is a point that QE's been driving home when people start arguing about establishing horizontal with the horizon. No, you need a horizontal. It's a given. How you establish it? Well, there's a multitude of ways. But you're establishing a vertical angle measurement based on having the prerequisite required horizontal plane to measure it from. It's not a, well, we haven't got one because the horizon's got blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. You're using the horizon to get what you need. You don't need it to be curved, you need it to be flat.
It's in the name. What kind of angle do you want? Altitude. What's another name for that? Elevation. What's another name for that? Vertical. Well, you're establishing that, not horizontal. You already have that.
Yeah, as QE keeps saying, it's a given. Measurement of elevation angle. Elevation angle is the angle between the horizontal plane and the line of sight, measured in the vertical plane. Radar.
All game over.
That's radar tutorial.
The way they put it, it sounds like it's already established, like it's right there.
Well, you've got to have it. It can't not be. That's the point. It can't not be. So when we argue with these tossers about how we're going to establish the pre-required must-have, must be there, must be understood to be what you're using horizontal plane, we'll argue about how we establish it with a sextant using the horizon. Yeah, we're establishing a horizontal plane.
Just another question, since we're going to beat it to death. Can you say perpendicular with just a vertical?
No.
Well, that's the thing. Hold on. Yeah, you could, but it would require Earth to be a flat plane.
Well, that's no. For them, that's no.
Yeah. The word perpendicular in of itself requires something for it to be perpendicular to when you use it. So you want a perpendicular something, you need a straight line for it to be perpendicular to, isn't it? Yeah. It's a reference, isn't it? It's not a statement of itself. Because in of itself, it's just a straight line going up or whichever way you're orientated. But it's perpendicular to the surface, isn't it? Or
I would say it's describing the relationship between two straight lines, right?
Yeah.
Well, when you talk about solar angle or solar elevation angle, you've got, and I've got another citation, quote, "The solar zenith angle is the angle between the sun's rays and the vertical direction. It is closely related to the solar altitude angle, which is the angle between the sun's rays and a horizontal plane. Since these two angles are complementary, the cosine of either one of them equals the sine of the other."
Wait, did you skip the sentence where it says where we have to establish this horizontal plane or where we can find it, or did it just assume that it's there?
It has to be there, which is the angle between the sun's rays and a horizontal plane. So if you're measuring this vertical angle, you have a horizontal plane to be measuring it with. You can't not have it. It's a given.
Interesting.
That's correct.
My favourite one is sustainable by design. The altitude angle, sometimes referred to as the solar elevation angle, describes how the sun appears in the sky. The angle is measured between an imaginary line between the observer and the sun and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. End quote.
Nathan, in Master B, you will find Merriam-Webster's definition of perpendicular.
When you're done, I want to read something from chat from yesterday.
Okay, perpendicular.
you can't use Merriam-Webster.
Why not?
Why not?
That's one of those places that change the meaning of words that we was talking about yesterday. Be very careful with Merriam-Webster now.
All right, so we'll get a few more, but let's see.
It probably won't matter in this case. I was just being flippant, but
yeah, maybe they've gotten woke lately, but right now we're going to go for perpendicular. And I bet you'll find 10 more that'll say the same thing. Definition of perpendicular, entry 1 of 2. Standing at right angles to the plane of the horizon, exactly upright. Being at right angles to a given line or plane. 2, extremely steep, precipitous. 3, often capitalized or relating to medieval English Gothic style of architecture in which vertical lines predominate. 4, relating to uniting or consisting of individuals of dissimilar type on different levels. Perpendicular noun, definition, a line at right angles to a line or plane as of the horizon.
Love it.
Okay, in chat yesterday, the guy says they take the line of sight to the horizon and line of sight to the star, and then measure the angle between them. Then we use an almanac full of figures obtained by calculations. Calculations which include Earth's curvature. Now, where does anything include Earth's curvature?
Well, he's just taken 3 steps that measured a flat plane, that required a flat plane to be assumed. So, well, he's just measured a flat plane.
I'll have a quick, hang on, Neil, I'll give you a quick answer for that. In the nautical almanac, where do all the measurements emanate from? The surface where it's curved or the center where there's a plane?
The centre, celestial sphere, off a flat plane. That's the only way you can have the angle. That's the angles that he described when he detailed it. As I just said, he's measuring a flat plane in the first instance to then tell us Well, I've got a reference to a sphere after I've measured a flat plane in 3 different ways.
So it's the same thing. That's why I put them in timeout, because we keep going over the same thing and they keep coming back with the same nonsense.
Well, Virus is in chat saying Nathan is lying. That's how bad this.
The actual reply is, okay, you've just told us about how you've measured these angles. How did you measure those angles off a curved surface? Oh, you didn't. You measured them off a flat surface. So you're measuring off a flat surface.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
I'd like to ask a 10th question about celestial navigation.
Feel free.
I posted a depression graph in the main chat on Discord.
Can someone share this with 10th in Skype, please?
I've heard
What's your question?
10th, Brian and Adam talk about how if you're at different altitudes, you get the same angle to the stars.
Hold on, I'm a bit confused about your question already. The same elevation angle?
Yes.
You just said you put a depression angle chart in the chat.
Yes, that's my question, because there is one, an adjustment for the sun.
Okay.
The sun and the moon do have issues, yeah, in terms of they aren't fixed like that. So you, because of their transit, you're dealing with adjustments all the time. When we're talking about that irrelevance of your altitude, we are talking specifically about the stars. Like I said, we didn't preclude the sun and moon, but as you can see here from this table, they are special cases.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought was very
What's
interesting.
the question? What's the question?
Could you please explain this to me in English, what it means?
Yeah, it's very simple. I don't even have to go to. I saw it. Now I'm off it because I saw what you put up there. How do you get an elevation angle? That's where we start. That's what I found out was the inconsistency in all the books. So I'm going to answer your question, but first you got to answer mine. How do you get an elevation angle? Can you do that from a curved baseline, or must that be perfectly horizontal and plane?
It has to be horizontal.
Thank you. Once we got that established, now we can see that anything they say to us about getting an elevation angle from the surface of a curved object is a lie. Now we have to say, how did they fool everybody? Now we go into their books and we see chart after chart and math equation after math equation. I mean, man, this would give Adam a full week just to figure out. What are they doing?
Okay, stop.
They're trying to prove
hold
it.
On a second, 10th. I still don't understand what the question's been asked or how it's been answered when Adam said they're a special case. So maybe, Adam, if you understood the question, can you summarise what the question is? Because I don't understand.
Yeah, I think, as I understood it, the question was we don't have to make adjustments based on elevation angle when we're based on altitude. Yet here we have a table with regards to adjustments for altitude. And I think I was talking about it, I think, was it yesterday when we were talking about lunatics? So there are considerations where you are for the sun and the moon. The first main bulk is just where the sun is, because that's hard of itself, yeah, because it's constantly moving, isn't it? And having different paths every single day. So that's what these tables were about. But there was also considerations. I think when there was the guy on Globebusters that was confusing everybody with his military sun tracking stuff, this is that. There are variances because, as I said, even with the moon, these things are on separate paths and aren't in the same frame for me as the rest of the stars. They sit separate to it, and that parallax is what that you can use the moon for, to give you additional detailed information, exactly what time it is, crazy stuff. Yeah, those variances. So these are just those adjustments tables. So for the sun, etc. Just if you think about it logically, when you go up a mountain, yeah, you can see the sun set twice, sort of thing. That claim. That's what it's talking about. Those sort of adjustments, but that doesn't apply to just the stars themselves.
If I'm allowed to, once Adam is finished, I like to be allowed to finish.
I think that's me done. I think
most of the reading says everything's so far away you don't have to worry about. But there are tables for the moon because it's closer for parallax, and parallax to them is 4,000 mile distance between the center where the angle is derived from and the surface where the observer is.
Hang on a second.
And that little,
sorry,
hang on. That little bit, this is the way they explain it. I'm not buying it, but this is the way they explain it. All right. So that little parallax, they have a table for the moon. The sun and the stars, they're so small, it's irrelevant, but there are tables. So all they're doing, again, we're back to the initial question I asked, can this work with an elevation angle from a ball? No. So, okay, so somewhere in there, they have to do things to make you think it is. So they bring in parallax, but what's parallax? The parallax is not from the surface where you are to the star or sun in question. It's from the center to you. And if you are on the surface, your view is 4,000 miles skewed off from the guy at the center. And the books and tables, hang on, I can never finish. All right. If I can't explain the whole thing, then how are you're gonna come in and say, I see a flaw. Yeah, the whole thing is a flaw, but let me finish the whole thing. So that parallax is just a distance of 4,000 miles. Now, that meaning the tables to fix it. Now, let me ask you a question. If they say in one breath, we don't do elevation angles to find the height because it's irrelevant, then what is 4,000 miles?
I was just about, that's what I was, when I jumped in and said, hang on a minute. They tell us that there's no height adjustment because the light's coming in parallel. But yet we've got a height adjustment for the sun.
Well, there's another problem too, and it's in the depression angle. Like the description of the depression angle that the book gives you is wrong because it's describing a differential angle from a flat plane to a curved surface when they talk about depression angles, but that's not what a depression angle is. It's a differential between two flat planes.
So I see, when they're giving you a dip angle as opposed to a depression angle.
Yeah.
So is the depression
differential.
angle of the sun the apparent dip below the horizon, depending on your position?
Okay.
No. I don't even know what context you asked that question. The depression angle, let me put a slide of what a depression angle is. And if you're on the sun, which nobody is, you have a given reference line to create your depression angle, much like you need a horizontal to have your elevation angle. It's a given. You can't even have a depression angle without a horizontal reference line.
That's what I was about to say. You can't even have the depression angle without establishing a horizontal baseline first.
Exactly.
And just
got to start flat.
These tables that are cited.
Hold on, just one second, Adam. Hold on, just one sec. Go ahead.
And chart that he posted, in the first sentence, it states that these tables were tabulated times of sunrise and sunset at ground level. So it even tells you right there on its own page.
So this is the point. These are very subtle nuances. Remember, we don't take elevation angles below 20 degrees because of issues. But when we're using the sun and the moon, we do really need to use them. If we're using the sun and moon, there isn't an alternative. There's lots of other stars. And look at what the table's describing. Table 2, at sunrise and at sunset and at civil twilight. So what it's describing is when these things are rising and setting. So really, at the points of dubiousness, these are some of the things that have been found. Yeah? So look at, there's a 0.8 depression at between 0 and 500 feet. And as you go up, there's a slight adjustment, but where is the sun? It's not high in the sky in any of these things, is it? It's sunrise and sunset. It's on the horizon, just hovering above it. And that's all it's describing here. Just an adjustment. Does that make sense? I don't. Is
Yes,
that your
no, I
question?
just couldn't find a
because you said,
good.
can you explain in
Hold
English
on, Adam.
what this
He's answering you.
page is about?
Hold on. Go ahead. You couldn't find a.
I couldn't find a good explanation of what depression angle of the sun is. It just brings up mental health things.
That's funny. You got to be able to see the okie dokes when you read it, right, Ken?
We are
Yeah,
not
I got
laughing at
this-
mental health issues. We're laughing at the fact that depression angle and depression. Yeah, we're not laughing if you have a mental health issue.
You go to Master B, and I got a slide, and that was a good one from the gentleman.
Yeah. If any of the issues raised in this show affected you, there is a link.
Called 1-800-BALTARD. Help is standing by. Guys, it's on 10th.
Yeah, so here's a guy at the bottom looking up for an elevation angle. Angle of elevation, it's right there. You need a reference line, horizontal. Now you got the sun. And now you got an angle of depression, is the complement. Now, who's at the sun looking down at the guy? Nobody. But if you were going to say, what would it look like? Here's a nice chart. What's your reference line for the depression angle? Well, it just happens to match the horizontal one that the guy used for the elevation angle. Oh, maybe this is why diverging zeniths don't work.
It's the okie doke.
Indeed it is. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, hit the thanks button after the fact, and all that good stuff. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G Plus panels for making today's live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
Globers can't acquire on a curved surface, so that's what we call it.
Baby, that's a good one, Chocolate. Or should I say chocolate?
What they do, which I didn't get to finish, is once they do everything from a flat plane, they have to now use the math, or as we say, maths, M-A-F-F-S, maths. They go to the maths to make it work on the sphere. And this is where all the equations start showing up because they're trying to convert what they got from a flat plane onto the surface of a sphere.
Right, so
hang on. So without going through all that, you just say, how can you get 90? You can't. How do you get elevation angle with a curve? You can't. Okay, so then all these are tricks to take what they got from a plane and to adapt it to a sphere that didn't originate in the first place with it.
Right, because when I asked the guy yesterday in chat, can you get an elevation angle on your ball Earth? And he says, nobody claims to get an elevation angle from a curved surface.
Well, the thing is, as far as measuring a depression angle goes, you can't measure a depression angle from the sun because you can't stand on the sun and measure it, right? That doesn't make sense. The only depression angle you can measure is the angle differential from your eye level to the horizon, which is a differential between two planes.
Exactly,
understand.
John. Exactly, John. That's why it's height of eye correction from your eye to the horizon. And that's what I said earlier. No one's on the sun.
Right. That's why I don't get like when they talk about an angle of depression and how we're going to explain it. Like, what are you talking about? But it's one of our proofs. Of course, we don't need to explain it. They are the ones that need to figure some convoluted excuse for it, not us.
And their convoluted excuse won't line up with celestial navigation. So they're always arguing with celestial navigation, not us, when they come to these discussions, and how it could be done. How it could be done using a sphere. You're like, okay, take it up with celestial navigators, because that isn't how it's done.
And yeah, you're right, Neil. They don't claim to ever use a sphere. They're either using the equatorial plane, which is a flat baseline, or a tangent line over a dingleberry. So it's always a flat baseline that they claim, because it has to be.
Yeah, and they say things like, well, we're not referencing the ground. What's it got to do with the ground? You're like, we're arguing about celestial navigation and how it uses a flat plane. And your only excuse for how it doesn't work because it's not functionally correct on a sphere surface is to tell us it's not in reference to the ground. Or you can establish a vertical without use of the ground. Nonsense in both instances, not true in both instances. But further to that, why would you want to be claiming that when the argument's about the ground? It's a flat earth debate about navigating the ground. But that's where they've got to go. Oh, we're not talking about the ground. Yeah, I know you're not, because you can't, because this isn't to do with your sphere ground. It's flat.
It deals with the ground, though. It just doesn't deal with the surface of the sphere.
Exactly. Much
hold
better
on.
put. It does deal with the ground, just doesn't deal with their assumption of a sphere ground, because it doesn't work with that.
Wait, one of the citations you read out, it said something about the observer standing on a horizontal plane. Is that what that said?
Yeah. Do you want me to read it
He's
again?
standing on it. That would be the ground.
Yeah. The altitude angle, sometimes referred to as the solar elevation angle, describes how high the sun appears in the sky. The angle is measured between an imaginary line between the observer and the sun, and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. End quote. Sustainable by design, altitude angle.
That's standing
It's over right there, isn't
that
it?
giveaway.
Oh, hi. Could I address the quote that Neil read out, the chat that Neil read out regarding the one elevation angle to the celestial object and the other one to the horizon? Isn't that incorrect? They don't take a line of sight. I'm sorry, to the horizon. That's a given, right?
Correct. That was
You just
Quantum
take the line
Eraser's
of
point.
sight.
Yes, that was Quantum Eraser's point from yesterday. To be measuring in the vertical, the horizontals are given. So you're not measuring a line of sight to the horizontal. You're measuring a line of sight to the item you measure in the vertical. The horizontal's just a given. You can't not have it.
Yeah, I think it's really sneaky how now they're saying that there's two line of sights now, when before
No.
they were saying
Well,
there
they're
was
just
one.
wrong.
Same
By
thing with the
definition, they're
horizon.
wrong.
It's weird.
Yeah, you're right. They can try and convolute it in that way, but it doesn't make any difference. The definition is what it is. The line of sight measured in the vertical.
Nathan, I've got 2 slides on depression angle and master B. They'll be more than enough to convince people.
Okay.
Yeah, as John pointed out succinctly, the eye would have to be on the sun to have a depression angle, and the sun would have to have a horizontal line in order to get that depression angle to the person on the earth. This is how depression angle is achieved, with a horizontal line that is assumed. It's an angle measurement, right? It's a depression angle measurement. The next one.
Okay.
Now this one shows both. One is the elevation angle, which is the observer on the earth, to get the elevation, the vertical, assuming or horizontal already. And the other one is angle depression, like the previous slide, of a person getting a depression angle. Both need what? Both need what? Anybody?
Horizontal? Flat baseline?
Yeah. Yeah. So both need a given. You can't get an angle. What's an angle?
Two straight lines meeting at a vertex?
Showed in his diagram technically from the sun.
Well, before you go there, I'm sorry to overtalk, but does it look like two straight lines for both angle of elevation and angle of depression in this image?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, they both need the same prerequisite.
Yeah. Okay, so depression angle is dip correction, which is correctly stated height of eye. So you see both these images have eyeballs. One with the image of a girl looking up elevation, and the other one of a guy looking down depression. So here's the guy on the bottom is 10 feet above the ocean surface on the deck of his sailboat. He's 6 foot high. 10 and 6 is 16. 16 feet height of eye correction so that you can have what? What the girl has. A right angle, 90 degrees. He's not looking down over a curve of the earth. He's just above the level plane. That is the horizon distance labeled for the gal on the top picture. He's standing higher than her eye is. Her eye's on the water line right there. He's got to get his eye to the water line. This has got to be what? Subtracted from what number?
90.
Shh, don't say that. That can never work from the surface of a globe.
Yeah, it's always rinse and repeat with them. That's why I don't like staying in chat too long. I get frustrated. Guys want to see the Intrepid?
The what?
Yeah, show it to us.
What year is it?
The Intrepid, the battleship. This was the
I thought you were
first
talking about a
ship
Dodge.
hit by a kamikaze.
I thought you were talking about a four-door Dodge sedan, boy.
As soon as this car moves, I'll be able to get closer.
Fascinating stuff.
Well, we were talking about being on the deck of a ship, so.
That's correct.
Wait.
So that ship's about 70 feet, 80 feet high? What would you do then?
Look in the book for height of eye correction. That says 80 feet plus the height of the observer, and you subtract that. And so now your eye is on the surface of the ocean, no longer in obtuse angle.
So I got Adam's image up. Why have we got this?
It's only a next point of thing. I was just pondering about, I was talking about coordinate systems, talked about pyramids and this is an old school one where they stick it on the face of a jester, but all the points of the places are still correct longitude and latitude lines. And then I went a bit geeky, and it's got nothing to do with it, but it's just an interesting read because this is quite an old map. I'm not sure exactly when is it, but if I zoom in, okay, you can see the writing here. I just thought I'd quickly translate it. I'll read it. It says, Mundi punctus e materia gloria nostra hic sidis hic honores gerimus hic extreminis imperia. It goes on anyway. But I've translated it. It's really interesting. I've never seen this before. The point and matter of our world, our glory. Here is our seat. Here we bear honours. Here we exercise empires. Here we desire wealth. Here the human race is tumultuous. Here we set up wars, even civil ones.
Wow.
This was one of their early plays. You know, they did this with all the maps. The globe is another one these same people built. But it's interesting. This is where we set up wars. This is where we bear our honours. It's
Sick son of a bitches.
anyway, little miscellany. But
Thank you, Adam. Got a Ram Jammer Ding Dong Discord. A lot of people in there.
Yeah, Nathan, can I propose something? I don't want to be the meanie. I'd like to have a panel vote on it, actually. But it is my experience with Akumu virus that all he's here for is to lie in chat. So why are we allowing him, after countless of times of opportunities to prove that what we're saying is wrong so that we could change our attitude about the argument? Or when we prove to him what he's saying is wrong, he should change his attitude about the argument. And we see some behavioral changes. If all he's doing in chat is lying and people are wasting their fingers at the keyboard, doing whatever they're doing to tell him he's lying, and all he does is come here and lie, and with no repercussions, I'm asking for repercussions, that he is not allowed for a month until he changes his attitude and comes in with arguments and civil behavior, but no more lying.
What? I don't do that. Where's the lie? What's the lie?
Oh my gosh, just read chat. You said Nathan was
what's
lying.
The glove
You
part,
said Nathan was lying. Where is Nathan lying? Now prove it.
What did I say he was lying about?
I'm asking you.
Yeah, because I wasn't talking about him when I said somebody was lying. I didn't say Nathan was lying. I've never said that.
Oh, really?
You lie all the time, virus.
Yeah, go find it in
You're
chat.
lying
I
now.
guarantee you.
You're lying
wasn't
now.
talking about Nathan.
You're lying now.
Go
You've
find
said
it in
Nathan
chat.
was lying. You've said Nathan was lying in chat. You've said it verbally. You've said it for a long time now. How come you're lying now?
Oh, okay. I thought, my bad. I thought you was talking about today. I usually say that he's either lying or he's getting it wrong on purpose. I usually say he's either getting it wrong. I either say he's either getting it wrong or he's lying on purpose. A lot of times I just think he's getting it wrong. I usually
Hang on,
think he's
virus,
smarter
you
than
little
that.
weasel. You
From day to day, you change who you are, I guess, right?
No, it's just sometimes I really don't have a purpose to say that Nathan is lying about something unless I hear that happening at that moment. I have no reason to say that just out the blue. So no, I'm not just gonna say that.
Well, that's a
Why
pretty
would you
serious
assume
charge.
he is lying? Why do you think you have evidence to that level in that moment?
Because I usually just say he's either wrong about it or he's lying on purpose, like doing it on purpose. But a lot of times I just think he's wrong about it. And
Well, then just say he's
care.
wrong about it. Why would you insinuate he's lying when you obviously have no evidence for that?
Because
Why would he even lie? What's the motive? What's the motive?
Because both are assumptions. Both are assumptions because I don't know which one it is. So I'm pointing out both of them, not knowing which one it is. It's one of those two.
Or
But
I could be
both
right.
of them I don't know. So
Or I could be right.
But for one, you kind of have to have evidence before you lay that down before somebody else.
So the false dichotomy you're laying out is I'm either lying or wrong. What about being right? Have you demonstrated how I'm wrong, what I'm wrong about, or just the false dichotomy of I'm wrong or a liar?
No, I can actually show it.
Go
I
then.
usually don't get the chance to, but yeah, I can.
Go on then.
It depends on what you was talking about. So probably just have to wait till that conversation comes back up.
So you don't even know what it was about.
The Earth isn't
That's
curved.
because Kent brought it up.
Can
I
we
mean, if I
start?
brought it up,
Can
if I brought it
start
up,
with
I
the
would have known
elevation and
at
the
the
three
time I said
curves?
it what I said it about. But because I didn't bring it up, I wasn't prepared for that mentally. He brought it up, so he would know
If
what
somebody
it was
lies to
targeted.
me, I'm going to know exactly what they said when they lied 6 months later.
Right, for example, Rumpus lied. That's why he's banned. I mean, I'm being asked to ban you, Virus, but Rumpus told us that he'd always claimed the horizon was refracted, when he explicitly claimed it was blocking the bottom of the Isle of Man. Now, when he lied about it 3 times, I can detail that. I've got a video on it. You know, I can give a really clear example. I've gone back in time, dug out old examples of how he's lying with an example of him lying. That's what I do when I say someone's lying. Have you made a little video specifically detailing what I've lied about and how I've lied about it, giving an example of where I'm lying? Have you done that?
I mean, I could literally do that next time if you
You
want,
could
but
do
I don't
it.
think
You
it's
could appeal to the future fallacy. So you're calling me a liar. You've not exampled or evidenced anything whatsoever about me lying, and you've been challenged by saying, if you claim someone's a liar, typically you'd remember what they've lied about. You can't. I can.
all right.
And
So
you're supposed to have some
I
actual
said,
evidence before you go there?
yeah, evidence
Question.
ain't that hard. The evidence is not that hard to come.
Yeah, you keep saying that, but you haven't provided any. That's the problem, you see, Virus. You're calling me either a liar or wrong, but you've not given an example of where I was wrong to therefore be either just wrong or a liar. Now, I'm saying you wouldn't have had an example of where I was wrong, I wouldn't be wrong. But you're just claiming a false dichotomy so that there's no option for me to be right, only wrong or a liar. But no example's been given of me lying. No example of me being wrong's been given either. So your false dichotomy is a complete failure because you haven't given any examples.
I don't mind giving it
Go on
at
then.
all.
Second
I mean,
time's
all
a
you have to
charm.
do is ask, but I don't
Second
mind giving
time's a
it.
charm.
You want me to make
Go
it,
on then.
you just want me to give
Go
it?
on then. Give your example.
Okay, let's, like for instance, Coriolis. Like when you say there's a 15-degree drift, we call that Coriolis. That's not true. It's not 15 degrees. It's easily known that.
So when
you
they
can look
thank
at
Bob,
pendulum. Oh, God.
what are they thanking him for?
What would they think, Bob? That's for rotation, not Coriolis.
No, they specifically thank him for proving 15 degrees an hour drift. That's what they thank him for. Thanks, Bob, for proving 15 degrees an hour. I'm bad. Is it me talking or is it you just chattering through the devastating demolishment of your claim? So your claim is that the globe does not claim 15 degrees an hour drift, even though Foucault is specifically cited as claiming to prove that globe has 15 degrees an hour of drift as Earth turns beneath a gyroscope. And Bob is thanked for claim to prove, that Earth turns underneath the gyroscope at 15 degrees an hour, something you're now denying the globe claims. The globe definitely claims there's 15 degrees an hour drift of Earth turning beneath gyroscopes, but that would shorten flight times, because if Earth was turning beneath things at 15 degrees an hour, as people, thanks Bob, are thanking him for claiming to prove 15 degrees an hour, the thing you're lying about. So either Virus is just wrong about what the globe claims, because the globe claims 15 degrees an hour of drift. People repeatedly thank Bob for claiming to have proven it, even though it shortened flight times if Earth was turning beneath stuff. You're just denying that the globe claims it, making you a liar or just wrong. The globe does claim 15 degrees an hour drift, called Coriolis effect. You don't understand what the globe claims, Virus, unlike me, who's definitely not lying or wrong in this example.
I got something to add on to that. Kumu virus. Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
go ahead.
Okay, you believe in the globe?
No. Why are you getting... Why aren't I getting an apology? No, the globe definitely claims 15 degrees an hour drift. You said I was lying or wrong about that, because the globe doesn't claim it. Wrong. You are a liar. I'm just going to label you a liar. You're a liar, Virus. Facts. Because you've lied about what the globe claims. You lie when you say it doesn't claim 15 degrees an hour drift. It does, you liar. So not me lying, you lying, scumbag. Don't lie about what the globe claims just because we can show how it doesn't happen. It would shorten flight times. If the claim the globe makes a 15 degrees an hour drift, Coriolis effect, was true. But when we show it isn't, you just deny it's even a claim, you bloody liar.
No, I don't.
You just lied about it being a claim the globe makes and said, I lied when I say the globe makes a claim of 15 degrees an hour drift. It does. We just can show how it doesn't happen, because it would shorten flight times if Earth was turning beneath to cause a 15 degrees an hour drift. The one you deny the globe making, you bloody liar. So not me lying, you.
And heretic.
Yeah, and a heretic denying the globe claim. It's going to be my second video in this series. Excellent work. I will now make a video showing how globe heretics lie about what the globe claims, and then tell me that I'm lying about what the globe claims when I correctly identify the globe claim of 15 degrees an hour drift, which would shorten flight times if it happened, because it would mean Earth was turning beneath at 15 degrees an hour, as claimed by the globe, and you lie about, globe heretic, and then claim I'm lying about it. What a scumbag. Not wrong, not lying, debunking the 15 degrees an hour that you have to lie about it even being a claim.
All right, so...
Not all right. A scumbag lying shit saying to my audience in my chat that I'm wrong or lying when he's lying. You scumbag liar. The globe does claim 15 degrees an hour. You're either just wrong or a liar. Further to your lie about what the globe claims, that's 15 degrees an hour drift called Coriolis effect. If it was true... It isn't. That's why you've got to lie about it even being a claim. It would shorten flight times, because it would mean Earth was turning beneath to cause Coriolis drift at 15 degrees an hour. The same 15 degrees an hour you say the globe doesn't even claim. Oh yeah, well, Neil deGrasse Tyson seems to think that balls drift through goals because Earth's turning beneath them at 15 degrees an hour, liar. Definitely not me lying here, Virus. You are the liar.
I'm about to show you.
You just claimed I lied when I said the globe claims to have 15 degrees an hour drift, debunked by the fact that flight times aren't shortened. That's not a lie. That's you lying about what the globe claims, my friend. You are the liar here.
Saying Coriolis is 15 degrees an hour is a lie, because that is not true.
Coriolis is the deflection observed from a non-inertial turning reference frame as you turn beneath stuff. The rate the globe is claimed to have of Coriolis, which is Earth, claimed to be turning beneath things to see them drift at a rate of 15 degrees an hour, is the very claim you've just denied the globe makes, you bloody lying heretic.
Coriolis isn't even measured in degrees an hour.
No, we know there is no Coriolis effect. That would be an observation of things seeming to drift as we turn beneath them. There's definitely not that effect. We know. That's why you have to lie about the globe even claiming it, because we can show how it's not the case, leading you to have a necessity to lie about the globe even claiming it. That's why you're doing it, because it doesn't happen. We know. Thanks. Welcome to non-rotating Earth, Virus. You know it's not rotating, so much so that you'll deny the globe even claims it.
Not really.
Yeah, you've
Why
said
do you
I
keep
lied
doing
about the
this to
globe
yourself?
claiming 15 degrees an hour drift. It absolutely claims that. We can debunk it. It doesn't happen. That's the facts of the matter.
Not Coriolis.
Yeah, Coriolis effect. That's what the globe claims. Absolutely, you liar. You're going to lie about the globe claiming Coriolis effect? You think there's a single person in this audience, globe believer, anti-flat earther or flat earther, that doesn't understand implicitly that the globe does claim Coriolis effect? It does. You're just a liar, Virus. You notice how I'm overtly calling you a liar and exampling your lie as I do so. You're yet to do so. You've claimed I lied about a globe claim of 15 degrees an hour. Definitely not a lie. You're just wrong or a liar. I'm going to go with liar.
Blah, 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 blah. You still
Get the fuck out of my show. Get the fuck out of my show. You think you can just chant blah, 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 blah through me, scumbag? Is that the response after he's called me a liar? That's what I get, is it? That's the respect I'm shown. I have demonstrated beyond all certitude that Virus lied about the globe having Coriolis effect at 15 degrees an hour. He lied about it, and when I'm pointing that out to him, he goes blah, 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 blah through the top of me. Yeah? Is that me muting him? Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, I give you the blah, 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 blah mute button needed when you're being annihilated. as you lie about what the globe claims, as Virus did, and then attempt to project your lies straight onto me. Blah, blah, blah isn't an apology for the fact you claimed I lied. I didn't, you did, Virus. Now get the fuck out of my show. Pathetic wanker.
Mute, 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 mute.
Yeah.
Blah, blah,
That
blah
was
is
him
mute,
making
mute,
his
mute,
best
mute, mute.
argument.
I'm going to mute you by going blah, 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 blah straight to the top so I don't have to listen to a word of it, and I hope no other person can hear it either.
That pretty much sums it up. Chocolate was asking why he does this to himself. I'd like to know why he does this to himself as well.
I'd like to know why he's claiming a lie when I say the globe has 15 degrees an hour drift according to their claim. It's called Coriolis effect. He comes along and says I'm lying about it. What an absolute outrage. When I point out that that's absolutely the globe claim, it would just shorten flight times if the prerequisite of us turning beneath to have this effect happen was the case. We'd have shortened flight times. Blah, 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 blah is the reply. What a scumbag. That's you. He represents every globe believer, so-called because he's a heretic, that's listening right now. Maybe you can come to me after the fact and say, if I had a neutral platform, I'd have got away with going blah, 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 blah through the top of everything you said, and the moderator would allow it.
That would be a reasonable outcome on a neutral outcome platform. But I think that is a recognised medical condition, isn't it? Thunberg Tourette's.
He went full rumpus, but look, this didn't need to have happened, right? All Akumo had to do was just not falsely accuse Nathan of lying when there is not even a lead of evidence for this. And he held on to it. He shouldn't have. He should have immediately recognized, oh, wait, no, that's ridiculous. Calling him a liar of absolutely no evidence, right? This is probably just a philosophical argument based, not a lie. But he still doubled down on it. That's just terrible behavior. He deserved everything that Nathan gave to him.
Better to witness the total mental collapse of his argument down to the point of all I can retort with is blah, 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 blah. I'm done. I'm well done. You go to that. That is the complete collapse of your argument. It's almost as good of admitting defeat. If it's funnier, anyway.
That's probably the best argument he's ever made.
It was Akumu's version of mute, 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 mute. He went full rumpus, literally. That's what rumpus does.
I suppose, sorry, just to, yeah, it reminded me, I did have a listen to that, a bit of that Rob Ager yesterday that Nathan put out. I think point 7, ego prevents learning. That's what that reminds me of. It touches on that a bit, and it's like it's the rejection of information and changing topic mid-conversation and attacking the person with the information. He goes into that a little bit, and that pricked my ears up, and I think a lot of the anti-flat earthers like that. And it's on that Rob Eager clip.
That's right. That's exactly what Virus did.
If a farmer has a hen house and his dog keeps going in and killing the hens, does he shut down the hen house or do some discipline to the dog or get a new dog? What does he do?
He blames the fox.
No, I'm saying his dog. I'm not calling a fox.
I know, I'm sorry.
I mean, if he's selling 1,000 eggs a month and it's his livelihood, and his dog is...
He's got to deal with the dog.
Yeah, so you deal with the dog. You either put a safeguard so the dog can't go in and you keep your dog. You discipline your dog and hope that he listens. But if he doesn't, you might have to get a new dog and give that one away. You protect the hens. Virus has been coming here for ages, getting away with murder. It's time for a timeout. I say 1 month off the Discord till he changes his behavior and comes here civilly and discusses the issue that we have in front of us, the nature of Earth.
He can't discuss anything civilly. He's outright lied about me lying. And then when it's
I
been pointed
know.
out how and why
It's
he's
no
lied,
point.
oh my God. When it's been pointed out to him how and why he's lied, he doesn't want to listen. Literally, doesn't want to listen. Wants to chant through every word I say so that I'm not listened to by him. And hopefully, best case scenario for him, his point of view, is the audience doesn't get to hear it either. Because he's talking constantly through everything that responds to anything he says. So he wants to be able to throw out, you're a liar when you say the globe claims 15 degrees an hour drift Coriolis effect. That's a lie. And then have nothing else heard, ever. What an outrage.
Yes, Nathan, please, let me finish. This is your show. I respect you. I come to your defense. I'll let you make that call. If you say to me, 10th, what would you do right now? I'd say I'd ban him forever. But that's not my show. You always like to give people chances. That's why I said a month. Now, for me, I don't care to hear from this liar because number one, he called my friend a liar. So I say he's gone forever, but I can't make that choice. So I don't mind a month and see if he changes. If he doesn't, then gone forever because he's here for only one reason. And that is the reason we're not going to put up with it anymore, I hope.
Gotta protect the
I'll
house.
agree. I'll agree. I'm sick of liars, and when they're pointed out as liars, the fact that their initial lies completely overcome, they've got no modesty whatsoever in that regard. They've got no humility in that regard. Virus has got zero humility, none. He's more than happy to blatantly call me a liar. Fucking asshole.
Give him punishment for that, right? Just put him closer over the fire. I wouldn't just kick him out just yet. Just get stricter with him, and then when you're really sick of it, when you think, okay,
I am really sick of it. I'm really sick of it, Arwin. Really sick of it. I'm pointing out what an outrage it is to call me a liar when he is literally and overtly lying to my audience. When he can't tolerate hearing that pointed out to him, or have the humility and decency to say, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, actually, the globe does claim 15 degrees an hour drift as Earth turns beneath, called Coriolis effect. It's just that would shorten flight times. Now, is he ever going to do that? No. What's he actually done? Oh, well, the claim of drift is a lie by Nathan. That's what he's actually done. No, that's what Neil deGrasse Tyson's claiming when he says the ball goes through the goal. That's what is claimed to be needing to be accounted for by snipers when the gun leaves the barrel. The bullet leaves the barrel. It's claiming that Earth turns underneath at a rate of 15 degrees an hour. These are facts that he's literally out there saying I'm lying about. Why? Well, primarily because we can debunk them. So far easier to call me a liar about the initial globe claim. So hopefully I'll fight for the globe claim. Fight for how the globe claim's real. Because that's what he's ideally hoping for. That I'll be fighting for how it is the case that the globe has 15 degrees an hour. And he can smirk to himself about how smart he's been. He thinks I've come down with the last drop of rain. Thinks I didn't realise what he was doing. And every time I repositioned it to the globe claim, pointing out that we'd be turning underneath stuff to cause the effect, I watch his little light dance. Because he can hear it. Oh, no devastating point that destroys the fact we don't turn underneath to cause Coriolis at 15 degrees an hour. I was hoping you'd just argue for half an hour about how the globe has got this claim, because then all the audience would hear is how the globe's got a 15 degrees an hour claim coming from you. That's what he's hoping for. Well, fuck him. No, Virus, you lying piece of shit. You know damn well that the globe claims Coriolis effect. That's every single audience member. But you literally came on and told me I was lying about the fact they claim it. No, mate. You're never going to return, Virus. Hope you listen to this after the fact. I'm going to ban you permanently. You're not going to come here and call the host of the show a liar when all I do is disseminate your fucking claim. That's what I've done.
Boy sending invites to himself right now.
Okay, fine. It's your decision.
Hold on a second.
Could you please just not interrupt me halfway my sentence every single time I speak up? That would be great.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a word in. Shut the hell up.
I'm sorry.
Nathan.
I was still in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah. Sure. Nathan, say the word.
Yeah, just ban him.
Hangman.
Just get rid of him. I'm sick and tired of it. Why should I sit here as the host of the show being accused of a lie when all I'm doing is disseminating an actual globe claim? Why should that be the case? Why shouldn't it be the case that when I point out it is absolutely the case with examples, that he doesn't turn around and apologise to me? Not only for claiming I'm a bloody liar, which I'm not, but for lying about what the globe actually claims, which by inference he's doing. It doesn't deserve to be. It's just like Rumpus. When someone says, oh, he's gone full Rumpus. What, lying through his back teeth, claiming I'm a liar, and literally going blah, 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 mute, 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 mute through the top of me as a point out his lie. No, he's never coming back. Fuck him.
Nathan, I stand by you, Nathan.
I'm with you. I was just trying to clarify, you know.
Oh my God. Is that the final word? And then you can go, Arwen.
Yes, just ban him.
All right, thank you.
Later.
Great. Now I got to deal with him in my chat.
Well, no, you don't. If he calls you a liar, you can ban him too.
Yeah, but he doesn't do that.
Maybe he could just go do something productive, like read a book or something. Like, what the hell? What are you coming here calling us liars for? And my problem is, where are all the other Globers who know that that's a claim, who know that Nathan's not lying about that, even though they might not agree with him, but at least be honest and say, yes, this is the claim that the Globe makes. This is the problem I have with the Globers. We'll sit here and call each other out all day, but the Globers will never call each other out on when they're wrong on a point. And it's disgusting to me, that type of shit.
I'm totally
If your man is wrong, your man is wrong. It's as simple as that. So what, because he's on your side, you're just going to let him rock with being wrong? I mean, that's pathetic.
I agree.
Anyway, I'm done.
I agree with that. I think it's very disappointing, right? I really tried to get in there early with Akuma and like, hey, maybe you shouldn't just continue this nonsense liar argument when you have absolutely no foundation to even start claiming that, right? You shouldn't go there. And he still held on. That's a real bummer for me. I thought he would be better than that. But I guess he went the full Rumpus road.
One thing I will say, and I speak for myself, I stand with Nathan 100%. I would not have shown as much patience as Nathan has with virus. So no one's going to accuse Nathan of randomly reacting emotionally to this. He brought it upon himself. I just wanted to point it out because I'm tired of people coming in here calling a panel member, especially my host, a liar when it's a Globe claim.
Right. Well, if it's a lie, then prove it. Then where's your argument?
It can't. It's a Globe. It's a Globe claim.
Right. Yeah,
There's no dis.
Sorry. It just gets so convoluted that it's not even in the end a conversation. Oh, a lie, like it.
Well,
it
now you know.
Clarified that it is about the Globe claim eventually.
Now you know why.
They don't even know what they're talking about anymore in the end.
Now you know why he's here, to convolute the Globe claim, which doesn't stand to testing, to validity.
Exactly. At the point that he's not putting the contrapositive claim to us, he's no use to us. If he's just here to say you're a liar, like, okay, that's an ad hom, that's a personal attack. You've got to give an example of that, right? To justify it. If he can't, and it turns out that he's lying, and literally lying about the very essence of the thing we're debating against, it's like, you're not a reasonable opponent anymore. You're not willing to put your side of the argument to us. You'll lie about your own side's position. Well, fuck you. Get lost. You don't deserve to be here anymore if you can't even put your own side's position to us and claim we're lying about it when we do.
Right. If they're not chivalrous, then we can't have proper war rules, right? Just like old times where the ruling parties would have war, they would have rules for that war. Like, this is how we're going to do things. These things you don't do because it's extremely demoralizing. It turns everybody into demons. We don't do that, right? So the anti-flat earthers must stick to proper etiquette, right? They have to have some legitimacy in their actions. And if they're just going to call us liars and then not back that up and still hold on to that accusation, then they're just violating these rules. They shouldn't do that. It's terrible for them.
I think the show's too intelligent for that with the panel members and the information that's out there. And guys like him coming in, it's just like a child having a temper tantrum. And we're all too good for that bullshit. We need some proper conversation and proper debate, not that fucking idiot.
Plus, he infects everybody in chat, and it's nonstop.
Their only attack is that. That's the only method that's had any success. The rumpus technique. shut down all opposing rebuttals. Make sure your claim of the host being a liar is the main thing that's left out there. Ideally, get him to defend what you claim is a lie about an actual globe claim, and then you'll have him telling his audience all about the globe claim for half an hour. I know where he's going when he positioned the globe claim as a lie I've told. That's what he's aiming for. Well, that sort of tactic, that's scum. Because you're no longer fighting for the globe anymore. You're fighting for me being a liar to lie on your behalf and reposition the actual claim for you? That's not a decent debate.
But that's just it, right? So sometimes you at some point you realize they're not fighting for the globe, they're just fighting against us.
Right.
They're not fighting for
Right.
the
They're
globe.
basically just energy vampires. That's what that is.
Yep, precisely. Suck the living energy out of your opponent. Because it doesn't matter if he wins or loses to him. As long as he's got it across to my audience that I'm a supposed liar when I say that the globe claims to have 15 degrees an hour drift as Earth turns underneath, shortening flight times, which doesn't happen. I would suggest that he would be much better off chanting through every single word so that nobody in the Discord server heard that when I said it 4 times. That will be the first time anybody in Discord heard that sentence, because he chanted through every repetition of it.
It's because they know there's no Coriolis doesn't support the globe turning at 15 degrees an hour. So they try and move the goalpost of Coriolis now into something else, just making it up out of thin air, which is just a load of nonsense.
Well, we're dealing with liars. You've got to go some to get banned here. And, banning Virus for the same exact reasons we banned Rumpus. No, you're a provable liar. Got it on record, you being proven to be a liar, and then merely chanting you're a liar at me through the proof, the demonstration.
I'm glad you did that, because the next thing would have been, well, he banned Rumpus, but he allows Virus to continually say lies. So you got to be fair. He's gone.
Well, yeah.
He's definitely a liar.
He did just project his own predicament again on Nathan. Like, he was lying, and so he said his lie was that Nathan was lying. It's just playing a game.
Nathan, I got to go, but I just want to say one thing before I go. Let this serve as a warning to the rest of them that if they continue on this same format, instead of coming here with arguments and acting like heretics, that their demise will be the same as Virus and Rumpus. Because this show's going to reach millions of people one day, and you are not going to get in the way with your little tactics. You can come and win an argument with a good, solid argument if you could pose one. But you can't do what these 2 individuals who are banned have been doing. Let this be a warning for them. We're showing the grow is going to reach millions of people. Good day, everyone. I got to go.
Later, Tom.
And before
I agree with Tent.
Before anybody leaves a comment saying, reach millions of people, it already has. This channel's had 6.6 million views. So...
Excellent.
Get him.
Not exactly 6 million people, though. But let's just brush that under the carpet for now. Yeah, I completely agree, although 10th has gone now. Thank you, 10th. Yeah, why would we let them stand in our way when they're not arguing the globe's position anymore? I've always said the horizon's refracted. No, you didn't. You said it was a physical limitation blocking the bottom of the Isle of Man. At no stage did you say, oh, by the way, the thing that I'm claiming to prove blocks the Isle of Man is actually non-physical refracted. At no point did the words cross his lips. I was just making him a liar. And when I went back and found a clip of him doing it and presented it to him, and he continued to double down, saying, yeah, I still said it. Now I've got an example of you not saying it. You bloody liar. Yeah, heretics denying their own claim. They claim to be able to prove Earth curve at the horizon in the Isle of Man. When we showed that the horizon is an Earth curve, I always said it was refracted. Blatant lie. Well, I've always said Nathan's a liar or just wrong. I just haven't got an example. Well, what's your example? Nathan says the globe claims Coriolis at 15 degrees an hour. Yeah, that's what the globe does claim, making me absolutely unequivocally not lying about what the globe does claim. You are now lying about what the globe claims. That's what's actually happened. Why? Well, because Earth would be turning underneath to experience this 15 degrees an hour of drift when we observe things not attached to the claim to be turning Earth, including hot air balloons, bullets, footballs, aeroplanes, the stars. Well, that's the claim. Earth's supposed to be turning beneath these things. Oh, right, it would shorten flight times. Different continents would come to a helicopter as it rose up in the air and the Earth turned beneath it. Things that we definitely don't observe to be happening, and we can debunk the globe's claim that they do. When they say Earth turns beneath a football to cause it to drift through goalposts at a rate of 15 degrees an hour, the very rate our opponent is now denying the globe makes. So we can't debate with him, can we? Because the debate would be the globe claims 15 degrees an hour, being the words out of Virus's lips, and me saying, yeah, it does, but that would shorten flight times. That's an actual debate, with the positive claim, as it stands, being made by the person claiming it, not telling me I'm a liar for claiming it. What an outrage. Yeah, he's no use to us anymore. He's gone beyond the point of usefulness if he can't even argue for his own bloody side.
Yeah, once they step
Plus,
outside
we haven't been doing this for years. Like, we haven't heard for years about Thanks Bob and all this other crap. Like, people haven't come here before him and made that very claim that the Coriolis effect is an actual effect. Like, what's wrong with this guy? I don't understand this new type of glober that just wants to remix everything in order to debate it. It's ridiculous. But here we are.
Pure heresy.
Why?
Well, it's because Nathan turned it on its head when he said, okay, Bob, thanks, Bob. Now, here's what you actually have proven. Once Nathan did that, then they stopped saying thanks, Bob.
Yeah, they stopped saying thanks, Bob, when I pointed out that, so thank Bob for proving Earth turns beneath things at 15 degrees an hour. That's very useful for me when you guys, like Virus just did, deny it because we can disprove it. So we're all clear because you're all thanking Bob for the proof that they say he gave them in the form of Earth turning beneath a gyro at 15 degrees an hour. So Earth's turning beneath footballs and bullets at 15 degrees an hour, thanks Bob. That would shorten flight times. That would mean your drone whizzed away at 1,000 miles an hour on the equator because you turned beneath it. Doesn't happen. No, you're just lying when you say the globe claims 15 degrees an hour of Coriolis. You're lying.
Now we're kicking ass.
Yeah, I think we've been respectfully, and myself think to us all, been wasting our time kicking the wrong ass. I think today's a good point. I didn't get into this to spread this message and argue against a bunch of muppets that don't believe in the globe. What I want to challenge is normies that believe in the globe, yeah, but are open to receiving the information, yeah, and they can do with that what they want after that, yeah. But I didn't get into this to bang my head against the wall and to sit here and listen to somebody when they're presented with their own claims go blah, blah, blah. There's a level of civil discourse that is appropriate. And the internet lowers those standards significantly. But even at the beginning, I can't think of a point in real life where you would go up to somebody and say, you're a liar. And they come back and go, why? You go, well, I don't know. I'll go look it up. Yeah? The level of behavior we tolerate is way above any acceptable standard from our side, I think. And drawing a line today, it's great. And we've been doing it progressively anyway. It's great to see that we're just bored of these idiots because fundamentally, they aren't even arguing the globe. They're only here because we exist. Yeah. And they don't argue their side. They only try to distract the general public from the message we're sending.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of an animal rights activist going hell for leather against dog racing in England. Now, let's present this as though I am that person. So I am the person deeply against dog racing in England as an animal activist. My opponent, who's supposed to be pro-dog racing, stands before me and says, "You lie when you tell your audience that we're allowed to have dog racing in this country." The idea being that I will now launch into how it is actually the case that there is a law and there is dog racing in this country. In essence, making his points for him. Talking all about how there is dog racing and how it is legal, when that is very much the thing I stand against in the position against dog racing. But if it's, as a starting point, presented that I'm lying when I say that there is even dog racing in existence, I'm having to justify his side of the argument about the legality of dog racing because he's saying it isn't even legal. That's how it's being done. So that I'll argue for dog racing for a few minutes for him and he can have a little chuckle. So I'll argue for Coriolis effect for a few minutes because he's saying it's not claimed by the globe. So I've got to stand for 10 minutes pointing out how it is claimed by the globe. When I'm not claiming it, I'm not a glober. I shouldn't have to point out the actual truth of what the globe claims when he lies about it. Yeah, it's just become a joke. Their side of this argument is a joke.
Yep.
That's...
They denounce their own side of their argument. They claim it isn't true.
No, but we have been taking the bait a little bit, and today's a nice refusal of that worm. There was a point I was going to jump in, because the point I was going to say is, what's that sun that goes around in your model? What's causing the sun to reappear every 24 hours? It's a rotation, make him do the... But what are we doing there?
No. That's what he wanted. Adam, I'm glad you've said that. Stop. I'm glad you've said that. So you can ask him about how a heliocentric claim works. Yeah, that's what he wants. You to say... So you put it to him, well, you're telling me that you're asserting that the sun isn't moving as a result of Earth turning beneath it. That's how you've got to paraphrase it back to him. And that's exactly what he wanted. Yeah,
exactly. And that's, if you listen back, that's kind of what we've been doing with them and humouring them. And it's nice that that's spotted, noted, and I think others will spot and notice now. Just there's no point humouring it, is there? No.
No, what I'll do is I'll take the claim that he's saying the globe doesn't make, point out how it does and how it's undone in the same sentence, to which he'll respond by chanting through it, because he can hear what's happening. Oh no, he spun it back into how it doesn't work, rather than talking about how the globe claims it does. Because I was just hoping he reiterated how the globe claim works, because then it'll just be reiterating the claim again by his mouth, instead of me pointing out how the globe claims 15 degrees of drift as Earth turns beneath things not attached, including hot air balloons shortening their flights, bringing other continents to them, having drones whiz away. What's the response in Discord? Blah, 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 blah. Don't let this be heard.
Yes, well, Nathan,
Yep,
over
that checks out.
the last few years, they haven't been able to win an argument on your particular show because of the standard that you and your team have held and controlled. Okay, so with that now, they're getting they're looking silly, they're looking foolish, so they're desperate now. Okay, and that's not just on your show. I've been on other servers where, they haven't had a chance to prove their case because they can't prove their case. So the results are insults and things like that. And that's what I've noticed. Some people have said about your show, they don't like your show because of the standards you have, you see. And I have to resort to, well, if you don't have standards, how are you going to know the truth then? So, carry on. Long may it run, because that's how it should be. And that's enough on that.
No, you're right. The criticism comes from both sides. Some flat earthers tell me that the standards are too high. You shouldn't immediately cut the argument off as soon as they beg the question, because then you don't get to hear them beg the question for 20 minutes. You're like, no, the moment they beg the question, I'll point it out to them because that's where they lose the argument. What I should allow them to say, if we're on a sphere spinning, then X, Y, and Z will happen. Hold on, we've just started this with us all assuming that we're on a sphere that's spinning. You're already assuming your outcome before we've gone anywhere. Why would we do that? I don't assume we're on a sphere spinning. For you to give this example, that's not going to happen.
If you want to hear them begging a question, just go back to earlier episodes where we were sitting here dancing in their crap narrative, right? Until we realized that that's what we were doing, dancing in their narrative, letting them beg the question all day long. We had to put a stop to that. What we're going to do? Keep doing the same thing we were doing 7 years ago? Like, get the hell out of here.
I don't get into many debates with him, but I'm going to do the same thing, even with the stupid conversations I have with some of the idiots. As soon as they start ranting non-global belief, the conversation's over, as far as I'm concerned. That's what I'm sticking to now.
Yeah, that should have been my response to him. So you don't believe it either. But he's not phrased it that way. He said you're lying about it. Not the globe doesn't claim 15 degrees an hour, which it does. He's saying you're lying about it, which automatically puts the onus onto me. Just a dirty trick. I sod that. I'm not here to have dirty tricks played on me so I can make your claim for you.
What they got left, Nathan? Besides dirty tricks and tactics. How long have I been saying it? They got nothing left, man. By the way, shout out to Jin. Good to hear you, brother. That was good.
Nice one, Chocolate. Yeah, nice to hear you as well. I was going to say this. I often say to them that, if the Earth was a globe, then you would be upside down in Australia. With that, I get, you don't understand the model, you're straw manning. I said, no, it's not. Because you're saying that the Earth is an oblate spheroid. That means you would be upside down from UK. In Australia, they would be upside down. And it's been, where's up? Which way is up? Which way is down? Well, as far as I was concerned, that's how it's described. Australia is down under. Antarctica is supposed to be under the world. So whoever coined that expression, that's to blame. But in actual fact, that's exactly what it would be like. So I'm not strawmanning. That is your model. That's how hideous it is. You can keep it, mate, because you would be upside down. You would be. You're going against God's laws, not even the laws of physics or science here. God's
I hate to be that guy,
law.
Jin, but technically no, just because of your phraseology. The word's antipode. So you're antipodal if you go to Australia, because upside down implies you're standing on your head, as opposed to you're still on your feet, but your feet are back to back with the other person's feet antipodal from your position. So it's just, if you just say antipode or antipodal as opposed to upside down, then you're correct.
Yeah, okay, well, antipodal. I'll be using that from now on. Thank you.
But yeah, what beside me being pedantic, you're absolutely right. And what you're highlighting is, to your average normie, when you say to them, you'll be antipodal from your position, or as you said, upside down, from your position when you go to Australia, most people's cognitive processing won't allow them to accept that. Now, we're talking about people who do believe they're on a sphere. This is another example, not necessarily exactly the same as a globe earth heretic that we have to deal with, but it's the beginnings of it. Somebody denying the premise of the globe claim because their cognition says, no, the globe doesn't claim that. In other words, they're saying it in a way that says, surely the globe isn't claiming that. And you as the flat earther have to say, no, you are actually claimed to have a spaceman on a Tesla out in a sky vacuum in violation of natural law. That is what you're claiming. But they're telling you it in disbelief as opposed to rephrasing it like I'm lying about it.
Yeah, and they try to make out that you've got the intelligence of a small child, basically. And wouldn't the plane be upside down, a plane just following the curvature of the Earth? Wouldn't inverted?
Antipodal.
It would have to be, surely.
But you see the difference when you explained it to Jem? Jem said, well, thank you, and I'll be saying that from now on. Humility.
Chill out. Don't give him a heart. Do you know who this is? This is Jin. He's OG.
Exactly. I know who Jem is. Come on.
Jin.
That's what I said, Jim.
I was gonna say you're absolutely right, because even the people that believe, the Joe Normie running around that believe they live on a globe, when you say that to them, because that's something I do like to tell people. You think right now that other people, places, things, water are all existing antipodal to you, thousands of miles underneath your feet, right? And when I say that, people will look at me. And then sometimes there's a handball that we keep here at the job. And sometimes I grab it and I tell them, I literally feel like I'm talking to like a 5-year-old. Like, if you live here, right, this is a ball, this is what you think you live on, you live here, and then on this side, underneath it, there are other people living. And they look at me like I just did some weird shit. Like I just did some voodoo or something. It's like, no, this is what you just told me you believe you live on. But it's like that they don't make that connection. It's like they didn't think about that when they were kids. Now, I'm a weirdo maybe because I was thinking about that when I was a kid. Like, why is people running around on the underneath me? What? But some people don't make that connection, man.
Well, they don't take it that far. They just take it on face value, right? Go along to get along. That's how a lot of people go about through their life.
They take reality at face value, because in reality that's ridiculous. But they don't make the connection that the reality you're telling me that you believe, this is the logical consequence of that, and you think that's ridiculous. Well, welcome to the club.
Well, that's
because I think it's ridiculous too.
Chocolate's got endless stories of basically exactly this. Him telling a normie co-worker that this is what the globe claims, and then just laying out a globe claim to them, and then having to have them deny, not because they're heretics, just because they haven't ever thought about it, but instinctually when they hear a globe claim, they go, nah, that ain't what's being claimed. Same with my example with the Starman. I remember showing, I haven't got many examples, but this is definitely one of them, various normies that footage and going, check it out. What do you make of this? That's supposed to be space. That's supposed to be a car in space. And the response I'd get is, yeah, but this isn't really claiming to be in space, is it? And you go, yeah, it is, yeah. They go, nah, this is obviously a fake video. This isn't pretending to be space. And you go, no, it is. Here, read this article underneath the video and see what it says. And they read it, and it says it's real. And they go, well, then, okay, then, yeah, then it is real. They suddenly have a change of tone. They've just spent 5 minutes arguing that it can't possibly be real because it looks so fake. But then when they read the article underneath, it says, no, that's a car in space. They go, okay, well, I'll accept it then. It says it in the article.
Yep, I've got that plenty of times with that Tesla car. Plenty of times. And they look at me like, why are you presenting me this nonsense? And I'm like, bro, this was on the front page of the newspapers the day it happened. Why are you telling me that I'm lying to you? Look it up. This is the crap you believe in.
You know it's real because it looks so fake.
Yeah, he said it. He said it himself.
I watch a lot of movie review YouTube channels, and on these...
And then I got to pull out the quote. Sorry, Nathan.
I was just going to say, I watch a lot of movie YouTubers, and one of them is called Dutch... What's he called? Dutch Bond fan, I think he's called. And he goes through all of the Easter eggs in all the different Bond movies and how some of them are shoutbacks to older movies and older books and older references, etc., etc. But he gets to Diamonds Are Forever, and he cannot for the life of him explain why there's a scene in this movie where Bond grabs a moon buggy and then bursts across a moon landing set to then burst outside of the set while they're pretending to be on the moon. And he's like, this scene never made any sense to me. He says, the only thing I can think of is that it's a nod from the movie producers to all of the conspiracy theorists who, 2 years after the moon landing when this movie was released, were saying it wasn't real. So you're like, okay, So even back in the day when it was right on the front pages and man lands on the moon and all the rest of it, there's still plenty of people out there going, well, load of nonsense. This doesn't look real. What? Are you having me on? And then for somebody who's obviously not a flat earther or a globe heretic watching this, to his mind, he just can't quite fathom why it would be in there. Why would you even suggest that the Russians are faking going to the moon? Why would you even postulate that? He couldn't even fathom it.
You see, well, what you just said there was what was claimed in the documentary called "What Happened on the Moon," Part 1, by David Percy, who is a British royal photographer, and award-winning filmmaker. This is what he said, that James Bond Diamonds Are Forever was whistleblowing, or like you said, giving the approval nod to the conspiracy. And also you got Capricorn 1. That was another one that was kind of like highlighting the fakery of the moon landings.
It was the story of the moon landing. That Capricorn 1 is it's Mars though, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Only it was Mars. That's right.
It's Mars, but it is just the faking story of the fake moon landing. But they just instead of the moon, they just change it to Mars and just show how it's all been faked. It's just the story of faking the moon landings, but with Mars instead of the moon. That's what Capricorn 1 is.
Good one. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They really did just displace the word Mars on the moon. And then everything makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're putting it out there for you to comprehend it. If you're of the mindset that you couldn't even comprehend it being done on a set, when you literally see it in a movie within a movie. So here's the movie of James Bond, and the character's going through a set in the movie. So they're filming a movie within the movie. Well, what's the movie they're filming within the movie? A moon landing movie. Hello? They're filming a moon landing on a set. It doesn't take much, but this is kind of why I brought it up, because the guy didn't make this leap. It's like, why would they be showing you? Well, have you gone back to the moon landing footage and thought, I wonder if this is on a set? Are there any comparisons that I can draw here? But no, he didn't make that connection, which watching him do it, it didn't make me laugh, but it kind of made me feel fuzzy inside. You're like, go on, just one more step, and you can make it. You can see why they've put it in there. For you to go, well, maybe the moon landing was on a set. Is it a set? I wouldn't know. Let's have a look.
I find that most normies that believe in the moon landing haven't actually watched it. Like, I mean, yeah, there are a lot that have, but a lot of the ones that I've run across that just willy-nilly just believe it, they haven't seen it. And I had one guy who I actually convinced to go back and watch it. Just go look at what NASA presents to you.
That's what I said to Rob Ager. So he did a piece about 6 months ago on, I think it was on Aliens. I love that movie. Anyway, he's in there talking about, pulling apart the movie. And I said in a comment, would you consider going back and reassessing the movie of the moon landing? Just to give your critical opinion on it. In other words, I phrased it in a way that made it clear that I was suggesting that the moon landing is just another movie. And as you're a movie critic, can you cast your eyes over this obviously done with the technology of the day stop motion animation footage from the moon? It doesn't take much for a film critic to look at the moon landing footage and go, that's stop motion animation and models on strings. Obviously.
Yep.
And you also have Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, which was released in 1968, voted as best sci-fi film of all time. Now, if you compare that to the moon landings of 1969 and right up to 72, all the missions, you will notice some similarities there. So Chocolate is right, because they haven't watched it all. I would have to agree with that. They haven't watched it.
And what about The Shining?
Oh, a lot of them don't.
And The
Even
Clockwork Orange.
regular rocket launches.
If you look at
again, the same guy that I got to go watch some of the moon landing footage, and when he came back to me, he was just like, yeah, some of this looks real suspect. And He was talking at the time. We were talking a lot about the ISS because supposedly they had a mission coming up, and he went and watched the rocket take off for that, and he comes back to me and he's like, "Bro, I got things to show you." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Look, look, the clouds are different here. The rocket looks like it's transparent here." He's coming up with all his own shit as to why the nonsense that he believed in that I told him to go watch is now fake, and he's coming at me and telling me how he's noticing these things. So like that's part of the trick is to get them to believe it, but don't pay too much attention to what we're showing you. Matter of fact, forget that we even have it here on video. Just just believe it's real because consensus and stuff. It's crazy, man.
But in the same way, 2001 hasn't held up.
Sorry.
No offence to Kubrick's masterpiece, if you want to call it that. It's not. It's boring as shit, actually. 2001's boring. Anyway, it's got some fantastic cinematography in it, and it's very much ram-packed to the hilt with globe propaganda. But it hasn't stood up. If you compare Gravity, the movie, with Kubrick's 2001, it's just an absolute joke in terms of the cinematography. The techniques are not because Kubrick's not talented or not able to make a fantastic movie. If he was alive today, what he produced would be just a million times better than everything that was currently out to watch, because he's a brilliant filmmaker. But the techniques and technology available to him when he made that movie was limited, and he's done, it's sad to say now with hindsight, the best he could, because he did really, really well in the time. But like I say, you compare that to a modern movie, and it's just this night and day difference. It's nowhere near as good. And you go, yeah, because he didn't have the techniques to make it look as glossy and as shiny and as realistic and as space-like as we get in Guardians of the Galaxy or Gravity. Well, you go, okay, now let's slot that next to what wouldn't have any limitations in terms of cinematography or filming techniques placed upon it, because you're just putting a camera on the moon. It's just going to present itself as it presents itself. You're not going to be able to date it based on technique. It's just you date it based on how good the footage was because of the film that went through the camera and its degradation or the lens quality. That's it. But what would be on film would just be as it could be today, but with a sharper picture. But there wouldn't be any difference. As opposed to, well, when we compare Kubrick with the moon landing, the techniques are the same. It's like there shouldn't be any techniques in the one that's supposed to be in physical reality. Shouldn't be able to discern lighting techniques in it. That shouldn't be even an option to concern yourself with.
Especially with the first landing, right? You would think that's the crazy one, right? We just made it to the moon. And then you got these astronauts running around with Hasselblad cameras on their chest, and they're not running around the way you would think humans are running around. Like, just not one of them says, "Oh shit," and turns around and looks at the Earth from the moon. Not one. Like, just things like that, man, are things that even when I was a normie made me a lot more suspect of this crap than anything else, because humans act a certain way in certain situations, and I know I'd be like a psychopath running around the moon like, I don't believe I'm on the moon. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get everything on film in any way, shape, or form that I can. And these guys, yeah, some people say, oh, well, they're professionals and blah, 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 but yeah, no, I don't buy it. Sorry.
No, you're right, Chocolate. You would be fully euphoric. You wouldn't be thinking, you know what, I'll take a golf club just in case I get a bit bored up there.
Exactly. Golf? Nah. I'm on the moon. I'm trying to get as much Earth footage as I possibly can. I'm trying to see how this thing really works, man.
I would also be...
I thought that it was so solemn. It was so solemn in the interviews because they had to go in like 30-day quarantine or something when they came back. I don't care how long I was quarantined. I'm going to be high as a kite. I was on the moon.
Dude, if I was on the moon, if I was on the moon, I'd get my P900 and zoom in all the way on Earth. You know?
Yeah, that's the only thing you'd be interested in. That's all you'd be interested in. That and dying. So the car,
Yeah.
one of them singing at one point. Now, I would reasonably expect if that was a journey you could take through a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum to the moon as a rock when it's actually just a light in the sky, I would be pretty sure I'm going to die. That would be the main predominant thought in my mind. This isn't going to end well. I'm probably going to die doing this. So that would be my major concern. And when I was out of my ship on the moon surface, I wouldn't be singing and playing golf and falling over. It's like you fall over on the moon and a rock goes through your suit, you're dead.
Right. Your cloth suit with zippers.
Especially when they cloth.
Yeah.
Say again, one day.
They seem to fall over plenty. There's footage of that, right? They don't seem to be very worried when they do this, though.
And then getting up without using legs.
Yeah, because they're on wires. They just get pulled up. You see them glistening. I've got plenty of imagery of glistening wires when they're fallen over and then stood up in a way that humans can't stand up. They don't extend certain limbs, but then manage to just be upright. And then you see a little glisten of a wire. You're like, well, they're clearly on high wire.
Or Michael Jackson.
Yeah, they're being
like
yanked
Adam
up, aren't
said.
they? They're being yanked up, aren't they? By the crane, yeah. That's right.
Absolutely.
Also, they were supposed to have this athletic ability where they'd be able to jump 6 times as high as they would be able to do on Earth if they were supposedly on the lunar surface, right? But we didn't see any of that because here on Earth, the astronaut supposedly his body weight 185 pounds plus his equipment was another 185 pounds. That's 370 pounds he would have weighed on Earth. But on the moon, it would have been only like they said 62 pounds. So they should have been able to jump 6 times as high, but we didn't see anything like that.
And what we did get
According
was
to
them
Bill
slowing
Gates.
down the footage of them walking around, so it looked like it was more spacey.
Well, you can't blame him for that. That was back in the day with the $6 Million Man and Bionic Woman. And you just slow things down and assume they're going faster. That checks out. Why not?
Warning! Warning! Warning!
He was an astronaut too, right?
That was the robot from Lost in Space, the TV show from the 60s.
Yeah.
And then there was the other guy, Dr. Smith.
Dr. Smith. Yeah.
Would 60 gallons be sufficient?
Yeah, I remember.
And now that you say that, Jen, where you're talking about like they should have that ability to jump. Like I was just watching which Avengers was it? Infinity War the other day. And when they get to Thanos' planet and they're talking about how the gravity is different there, right? They get on the planet and the girl from the Guardians of the Galaxy, the alien looking girl, you see her jumping up like 10, 15 feet in the air because she's testing it out. They all just found out this gravity on Thanos' little planet is different. And look at them testing it out. And she's just jumping up, like, you see her in the background, just jumping up like 20 feet. And I'm like, because that's what you would do. But no, not on the moon.
Yeah.
Not in reality.
I want to incorporate a couple of different things from movies that talk about a subject that we cover on the show, which is gas pressure without a container. So if you think of a couple of movies, right, one being Aliens with the planet LB426 and the planet in Total Recall, so Mars, right? In both of those movies, they have a process where they terraform the planet. In other words, there's a point where you can't go on the surface of the planet without a spacesuit because you're exposed to the vacuum of the sky, right? The vacuum goes all the way to the ground. But then there's a point where they just say, what we're going to do now is simply introduce gas and it's going to make the breathable atmosphere. So in Total Recall, he's got the alien hand shape on a like dome thing. He puts his hand on it with his 2 fingers together. It sinks down, causes a reaction that releases a load of gas. Well, what would happen to the gas? It would just diffuse immediately into the space it's got to fill. But according to the narratives of the films and the heliocentric model, gas comes out of the ground and then magically just stays hanging around the sphere surface for some reason.
There's a double
Go
contradiction
down, go
there,
boom,
Nathan,
boom.
isn't there, from it? Because when Arnie's laying down and all the people in the Mars base are dying and choking, the probes go in and the gas is released. How quickly does that gas diffuse to solve everybody's lack of any air problem? It's rapid.
Pretty
even in
quick.
the film, and yeah.
Yeah.
So in that part, they're showing the truth of how quick 5,000 miles, you know what I mean, an hour sort of speeds, massively quick. But they forget what would keep happening in the other direction because gases move freely in all directions. That's the contradiction for me. They demonstrate half of it, but forget the other direction.
Well, they'd need containment.
They didn't show the container that
Exactly,
would have
Alwyn.
had to be there.
So they're pumping out gas from the ground in LB426 when they explained to Ripley that they'd been terraforming and they've made the atmosphere breathable. The atmosphere breathable? It was just a sky vacuum. They had to go on, and he had the alien melt through his mask because he had to have oxygen because there wasn't any. Then they set up some machines, and what do the machines do? They pump air from the ground out and up into a vacuum. Well, what's going to happen to it? It's going to bugger off immediately, unless there's something to contain it. Same goes for Earth.
In the line of movies, by the way, you completely skipped out on Spaceballs, which is...
I was just going to say it. Like, you took it right out of my mouth, Arlen.
That's not terraforming, though, but go on.
The most ironic, obviously, has to be Spaceballs with the barrier around Earth. Because Mel Brooks obviously was aware that the joke wouldn't really make sense if you didn't have a barrier to contain this air that's so precious.
But that's not the plot. Somebody came on and pointed this out to us. That's not the plot. The plot is that they had a self-sustained atmosphere next to a vacuum, but they had to stop people from stealing it, which is why they put the dome around it. Not because it had to be contained, but because they had thieves out trying to steal their gas pressure, which had no containment, so they had to contain it.
Without the container, there can be no pressure.
Right.
Well, that reinforces Chocolate's point then. He had to be in on the gag. He's fully in. He's constructed it twofold, hasn't he?
I think they're all fully in,
Containment,
Adam.
but to stop people stealing it, that's the pun, isn't it? Stop who's stealing it? Its entropy would steal it. So to stop it being stolen, they have to contain it. I would say that's more an indictment. He's on it.
Well, he knows the score.
Yeah.
Because then they show, to add insult to injury to the audience, they show the sky vacuum with Megamaid holding a vacuum. You're like, everything around Megamaid's a vacuum.
She's gone from suck to blow.
May the Schwartz be with you.
Right, I think I'm going to end it there. With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
day!